client can answer any questions at all in relation to communications, or observations, or anything, be it independent source or otherwise, that took place during the time of the alleged attorney-client privilege relationship, which is 2015, I think, until the present. I understood that as referencing not simply attorney-client privilege communications, but what we commonly refer to under 1.6 as confidences and secrets, which are not covered by the attorney-client privilege and are not barred from testimony or evidence in a courtroom. But it sounded as if the court was going.
Hey guys, I see you guys coming in real quick. What is happening is, I guess, Mr. Bradley, who was kind of their key witness that heard all of this information related to Fani Willis and Nathan Wade's romantic relationship, he has a doctor's appointment, and so he won't be in till 10 o'clock. So right now, this is simply a motion to related to attorney-client privilege, because that was an issue with Bradley yesterday, was that he represented Nathan Wade at one point when it came to his divorce, and he talked about divorcing her. Nathan Wade talked about divorcing his wife in 2018. This guy Bradley was the attorney. So yesterday, if you guys watched, I watched part of it, not all of this testimony, because I was in the air. But he kept his attorneys and him kept pleading that it was attorney-client privilege, so they couldn't give up any information, even that related to an alleged relationship. And allegedly, Bradley claimed that he called the State Bar of Michigan, which sometimes we do. When you have any type of ethical conflicts that you think you may have and you're unsure, there are hotlines for you to call the State Bar, and they have attorneys there that can help you with some of your dilemmas. They alleged, they meaning Bradley and his attorney, alleged that they contacted the State Bar, and the State Bar said, you can't talk about anything, is what it was sounding like. So they kept pleading privilege. Now, what happened after that, I don't know, because I end up, going in the air. But that's what's happening right now, is that there is an argument on whether he really should have attorney-client privilege. Now, the other side of that is when Nathan Wade did his affidavit, you can also waive privilege. And because he acknowledged in that affidavit that he had an affair, or, well, I guess it's not, they don't call it an affair, but has some type of romantic relationship with Fani Willis, that essentially he opened up the door. He broke privilege, he waived privilege. So this is what this guy is arguing. Nothing major. Apparently, it won't really be no fireworks or testimony again until 10 o'clock. But since I already set it up, I figured I'll go ahead and see what this guy is talking about. But you guys come on in, hit that like button, and grab your drinks and snacks, because I heard yesterday was a bombshell of events. And let's get into it.
Going to have to order Mr. Bradley to testify, and then Mr. Bradley will have to take a position of whether he's going to follow the court's order, heed the court's order, or whether he's not. If he does, then we'll be able to get in hopefully the questions that Ms. Merchant has prepared on Mr. Roman's behalf. If he says, I'm not going to comply, then theoretically we're in a position in which the court will have to hold him in contempt. And then at that point, my guess would be that somebody would say,
thank you, Tony, so much for the membership. I appreciate it. And yes, I heard Madam DA she reverted back to the hood. That's what I heard yesterday. I've seen all the clips, people, posting it. And folks might think it's cute for entertainment, but honestly, that's not the decorum as an officer of the court. There's a time and there's a place for everything. And she was doing a bit too much. I did see a little bit of her testimony. I understand she's all pissed off and irritated because she feels like she's the center of something and she's not on trial. However, my opinion is you should have never got yourself in this situation. because you should have known better. The look of impropriety under the canon's rule of ethics, I believe is number 9. It tells you shouldn't have the look of impropriety, and it just looks bad. So now you're giving them this ammunition, which means that 9 times out of 10, nobody's going to be prepared for trial for Trump. I don't even think they care if they win. The point is, we're going to delay. We're going to put a whole bunch of dirt on your name. We're going to make it look like you're incompetent. You don't know what the hell you're doing. And you're making horrible decisions. And you should be disqualified, is what they're saying. They're saying, because I think she's a very, very smart woman. She is. But now you got people looking at how did she get elected? People are asking that question. I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't entertained just as an officer of the court, but I see how the public would be. But she knows if she was her on the stand, she wouldn't even want to deal with herself. If she was if she was the one cross-examining someone, she wouldn't want to deal with her own self. Let's just be clear. She would be considered, can I treat you as a hostile witness? That's what you would say, because they're not answering your question straightforward. They're not answering your question how they should be answering it. They're evading, avoiding, and she knows better. So the point is, to me, you look more, because you're so defensive, you look more guilty than anything. Now, I heard information about she allegedly paid Nathan back everything, and she always kept cash on hand because her daddy taught her to do so. I don't think that was the well thought out response, because as attorneys, if you are working as an attorney, before she became the DA or whatever, she was a prosecutor. But there are ways that people do, as I know from the defense side, there are people that might pay you in cash. There are some people that might pay you, in various ways. I think there was a way that she could have qualified her response, but if it felt like to me that a lot of her responses, she was trying to let you know you're not gonna outsmart me. You ain't gonna out talk me. I have an answer for everything. And it was too much. Sometimes less is better. And sometimes the little two that you throw in there is a time and place for that. I'm not saying that I have never been in court and I have never just lost it on a couple of people. However, that is not the norm. And it definitely wouldn't be in a situation like this. It's crazy because attorneys make the worst witnesses. I've had to represent an attorney in a deposition. They were horrible. Both of the times that I did it. And part of it is because you're anticipating, the game. So you're anticipating what they're doing, why they're trying to do it, why they're saying what they're trying to say, what they're trying to get at. And so because of that, you take offense to a lot of stuff as an officer of the court and you respond like that. So I'm not shocked at the way that she was yesterday. But I can't say I was just thoroughly impressed. Everybody was like, she let them have it and all of that. That's cool. And again, I honestly believe that this is it's really, I don't think she should have done it, but I don't think it's enough for a disqualification. And I just think it's just a distraction. I do believe that, but it's a distraction that you allowed. It's a distraction that you caused. And that's, I think, what I'm more irritated about than the actual situation. But that's just my take. Let's hear what this guy has to say about privilege, because this will matter later on whenever the other guy comes back, Bradley.
Would like him to have the contempt stay while I take it up on appeal. So I'm just trying to play through where we're going to be. Because if we're going to do that, we might as well know this before we start putting them on the stand.
I think that's a good thing to flag now, and I agree that yesterday during the hearing there was some intermingling of 1.6 and attorney-client privilege, and now having had the time to kind of parse through that, and it does seem that there is a distinction between the two. One is not covered by the evidentiary privilege, and pulling the case of Tenet Healthcare Corp. 273 Georgia 206. Supreme Court.
Okay, so Shah says she needs to be supported. I'm not understanding that. I really don't understand that comment. They didn't break a rule. Are you an attorney? That's the first question. She's fighting Trumpsters is the reason why I am not very happy with her. Is she a very intelligent person? Absolutely. Has she done some things over there in the DA office? Absolutely. She was higher up in the DA's office before she even was elected, from my understanding. She was under the former DA, which makes her more than qualified for her position. I am not challenging her qualification. What I'm saying is she knew she was fighting Trumpsters. Therefore, when you know you are fighting a big machine, you have to make sure that you are on the up and up with everything that you do. I do not feel like you should have hired him. It did not make sense. It was not necessary. And now look at what's happening. So, yes, I support her as an attorney, support her as a Black woman. However, I'm going to call a thing a thing. I am not going to sit here and act like everything she did was cool and everything she's doing now in the court is appropriate. I'm not, because I would be lying to you. Just to have a sister camaraderie with someone. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. However, she just has to calm down. I understand she's upset. I understand she can't believe that this happened and all of that. But come on, let's be clear. You got witnesses on there, such as her former best friend. She's clearly rubbed people the wrong way, because people ain't got no problem saying, yes, we had a personal conversation and she dated him prior to this election. This indictment. That's a problem. You know why it's a problem, Dominique? Because in her affidavit, she said that they didn't have a relationship till after till before was it before? Did she say after or during? Whatever she said, the timing is off. So they're trying to catch her in perjury in an affidavit. But I guess that's going to be okay too. That's what they're trying to catch her in. So it's not just about that. So what they're doing is they're creating, okay, this situation may not be that big, right? But what I'm going to do is I am going to create a situation that makes it way bigger. That's what's happening. If you put in affidavits, they probably surmised that she was going to try to protect herself. How do you protect yourself? You have to do an affidavit when she was responding to that motion. They looked in that motion to try to ensure they can find something that she was not being truthful about to cover herself, because the humanistic nature is to cover yourself and not look like you had the look of impropriety. That's the humanistic nature. So they're using this. That seems like it's nothing. According to a lot of people, it is a bunch of salaciousness and gossip. But they're using this to try to find other ways to disqualify her. You're talking about perjury now. If you're familiar with the state of Michigan and our Kwame Kilpatrick fiasco we had years ago, when former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, got caught up in the gang. Before he had a federal case, intellects, he had a state case. You know what that state case was? Perjury. Why was it perjury? Because he was sleeping with his deputy chief mayor, Christine Beatty, and he lied and said he did not. And you know what they did? They found text messages of them having all type of salacious conversations, which showed clearly y'all was kicking it. And you guys in those text messages gave specifics on when you was kicking it. And you know what happened to Kwame Kilpatrick and his side chick? They both did time in state prison. Well, I don't know if they went to prison, but they did time for that. So what I'm saying is, it's cool to rally around people, but this is a setup. This is the overlay for the underplay. And I'm very upset that an intelligent person like that fell for the banana in the tailpipe. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Yes, they both did time. That's all. I just want people to know. I just want to educate you as much as I can on the situation, since this is what's, the big thing. Lasikia said, why can't they kick it? I'm not saying they can't kick it, but the problem is this is what they're trying to do. The look of impropriety you're not supposed to do as an attorney. That's what they tell you in your rule of ethics. That's the first issue. So you hire someone that you're kicking it with, and they're going on trips. She said Aruba and what she say, Dominican and the Bahamas. I mean, they were living it up. This man's finances, first of all, he's making more than what she's making. Let's be clear. Because she got a salary every year. It don't matter how many hours she works. He gets to charge by the hour for every minute that he spends on this case. So that means that some of that money is used for them to go and have big trips and lavish lifestyle, right? So their argument is, and I'm not saying it's a good argument. I'm not saying it's a bad argument. I'm just saying it's an argument they should have never been able to even wage. That's what my thing is. Their argument is, oh, heck yeah, she hired him because now he who is not qualified or has never done a RICO, he's been a sitting judge. People say he's not qualified, but he has been a sitting judge. He's been a practicing attorney for years. I believe he does family law or something, but nevertheless, and he's worked in the prosecutor's office in some capacity, but I heard it wasn't like major type crimes. He's never done a RICO. That's for certain. He's never done a RICO case, which is a major case like this. So they're saying he's not qualified. And so what they are arguing is he only got hired because that's her boo. And who benefits from him being hired financially? It would be her, because you make this amount every year and that's that. But he can bill the state as much as he, can show that he's done some work, and that's it. That's what they're trying to allege. So you're going to hear testimony about whether they live together. That's important to them. I think they should make sure they differentiate, because that means if he paid the rent, then it was intermingling. That's what they're trying to look at. They're trying to say that she benefited from this. But I think it's a far stretch. I'm going to be honest, because I think it's stupid to say she brought the case just because she wanted to hire him as a special prosecutor, because that's what you have to say. That's what they would have to prove. To me, that's ridiculous, because there is ample evidence, especially the videos and stuff of the young lady that they were, and her daughter, and folks, Cuddy and all of them, trying to get her to lie in front of the committee and all of that stuff. That stuff is video recorded. So she had a case against them. She definitely did. And it probably should have been brought. But what I'm saying is now they're trying to make it as if she only brought this case because it was going to benefit her, because she benefited financially. So they're reaching. And then now, because you want to protect yourself, you're writing affidavits. They're looking at other affidavits from Wade as well, of which Wade was making contradictory statements. So Wade, again, that's called perjury. You do it under the penalty of perjury when you sign your name. So now you're getting yourself in a bigger mess because you're trying to cover any impropriety. But yet and still, you did this affidavit, but you're on the stand. You still had to testify. All your business had to be aired out. Then I said this in the beginning. I think she may have been a person that people did not like. Do I know her? No. But in looking at her homegirl from college on the stand, who basically was like, it definitely was shortly after they met each other in 2019 that they started kicking it. Well, how do you know that they started kicking it? Oh, well, I mean, general conversations, they let me know. And I also observed it because they were kissing and patting and, and all of that. That was your homegirl. And she just basically, and she worked for the DA's office. And of course, they're arguing that she's a disgruntled employee because she either had to resign or she was going to get fired because she had subpar work. And so that's why she's upset or whatnot. I think that's what they're trying to articulate on Fani Willis's side. But yeah, this is a mess. This is a mess. Mimi said, I read that she chose to take the stand against her lawyer's advice. Who we talking about? The friend? Because listen, like the friend chick, I watched the hearings a couple of days prior to yesterday's hearing. I did catch those on the motions to quash the subpoenas. When you try to quash subpoenas, it's because you don't want to testify or you say you don't have information. This lady said she did not have, basically her attorney was saying she don't have any information related to their relationship. So I think it was quite strange that she immediately gets on the stand and now she has, DA Willis, and now she has information related to it because her attorney was saying the total opposite. He was there to try to quash her subpoena so she didn't have to testify and said she didn't have no information. And then the DA said, the attorney, the defense attorney that has started all of this, because Trump and all of them joined somebody else's motion to disqualify her. So his attorneys were not the originators of this motion. They just joined it. So he basically was trying to say she don't have no information. She is without sufficient information to tell you anything about a relationship. And then she gets on the stand and she sounded like she had information to me. You said Fani ran to take the stand. She wasn't running from the smoke. Shante. Well, I think it was all to look like she didn't have nothing to hide. I think it was all perfectly staged. If I come in and I look like I want to take the stand, I don't care who say what. I want to take the stand. Then you're going to think, oh, she ain't got nothing to hide because she ain't running from it. So that's the look that she wanted to give. And I think it worked for the public. I definitely do because people are really cheering for her. Again, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just went, by the time I came on, I think right before I was about to take off, I listened to her. She was talking about something, and the judge basically was like, I need a 5-minute break. So I was like, oh, she getting on his nerves. She responded with something. I heard her talk about, are you talking about personal relationship, or are you talking about a romantic relationship? And was like, because there's a difference, because I have a personal relationship with him now, but romantically, we had the hard conversation in August, but he probably will say we broke up in July because we stopped being physical in July. But as a woman, I say we had the hard conversation. So I was just listening to, I said, yeah, this is about to be a whole lot of fireworks. I already knew I was going to see all of the clips and she was going to make some good memes when I heard that. CCB said, I'm confused about their exchange of money. And did they have a bad breakup? She claimed he said all women can do for him is name a sandwich. Well, is make a sandwich. I did hear that part that she said. I didn't see any of Wade's testimony, so I wouldn't be the best person to answer that question. But I did hear when she said that. I don't think they had a bad breakup, and I would honestly be surprised if they really did break up. I'm gonna be honest. I am going to be quite honest. I wouldn't be shocked if when she said that they broke up in August, the reason why they're saying that is because they got some type of information that they were still together after that. Some Christmas smooches or something that they found. It wouldn't shock me. Fani said her daddy paid her bills. Oh, okay. Francine said they shouldn't reelect her. I mean, if she's doing her job, But see, I watched an interview she did about all of those people that are still unindicted. All those people that are unindicted in Fulton County Jail, which is crazy to me. And even when she gave those explanations and she knew who they were talking about, and I don't know. She said she inherited a mess, but the problem was you were a part of that administration too. Like you were one of the top, she was one of the top DAs from my understanding. I'm not that familiar with what goes on in that county because I'm not from there. So everything that I hear is either from people that I know that work there or things I heard in the media. So I wouldn't consider that necessarily authority. A lot of it is hearsay. But I don't know if you guys think that she's not doing. I don't think she should not be reelected based on her messing with Wade. If she's doing a good job as a DA, then I think she should be. If she's doing a horrible job and she's not doing what needs to be done, or not basically whatever she based her campaign on, she's not doing that, then no, she shouldn't be elected. And I also saw a clip, which is crazy. When she was running for election, she basically said she would never, she said she was going in, let me show y'all this because child, we don't really care about this motion right here. They're on a break right now, but I want y'all to hear something real quick. This is Madam Fani Willis when she was running for election. And you have to be careful at things that you say. Let me see this clip. So this is a clip I want you guys to hear. This is her, Madam DA, getting interviewed before she became the DA.
Of the Southeast. It should be the absolute best office between Washington, D.C. and Miami. And right now what you have is a office of dysfunction and corruption, and we deserve better. And I am the right choice to improve it. Corruption, Ms. Willis, that's a strong word to level against the office that Paul Howard has run for nearly a quarter century. If he gets reelected, it'll be more than 25 years. You have a DA sitting there that doesn't have the qualifications and the experience to do the job. What I can guarantee you is with my reputation, with my community ties, I am going to be able to attract the best and the brightest minds to that office. You're sitting with someone today that actually wants to make a difference because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees, because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket when it should go to benefit children, because we deserve better.
Y'all hear that? You see what I'm saying? So basically, from my understanding, Paul Howard, and I don't know, this is hearsay, was her mentor. And she was around him and she's seen a lot of things that was allegedly going on. And one of those was, what I gathered from it, you guys can tell me if that's what you got, was that he must have been sleeping with some of his employees. So now here we have my Madam DA, who people are swinging for. Basically, you hire someone who you were sleeping with as a special prosecutor. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. She said he's not an employee. Okay, so that's better if you contract somebody. She's his boss right now. So we're gonna play with words, whether it's employee, contract, we're just gonna play with words. So not really sure what Nathan, if you contract with somebody where you're going to spend 3-4 years with somebody where you can't do any other work, what do you guys call that? Huh? What do you call that? If that's your, if I as an attorney, I decide to 1099 someone, whether it's a temporary basis or whatever, and I want them to be my paralegal or an associate attorney, I'm their boss. I oversee what they do because they can't do no outside work outside of me, because what I have you do is going to take up all of your time. That means if you have your own firm, you're going to have to close that firm down and turn your sign around. because you're closed for 3 years. We can play over whether it's really an employee or not if we want to, but let's just be clear. So anyway, just here to learn, said I will say this. I don't think her demeanor is simply because of this. She shows up often with that same attitude, and people always say it is too much. Well, to that point, just here to learn, thank you for the $5 super chat. To that point, I watched a hearing of, was it, and we're just kicking it, guys, because it doesn't sound like the next witness is going to be here till around 10 o'clock. Allegedly, they're on their way. Let me make sure I speed this up because clearly we're not about to watch this. It does say a break, so let me see. I want to make sure. Was this what I was watching? Okay, but I was watching a hearing because Harrison Floyd, who is the only Black male that is part of the RICO 19 over there in Georgia, and he was the only one that didn't get a bond at first, and he was in jail, and they tried to make it a race thing, but then we learned that he refused to talk to the DA at first to do a consent bond. That guy, I did a video on him as well. He said something on Twitter which was considered that's fine. She contextualized. She said, I'm a contractor. The companies I work for are not my employers. That's fine. That's not how it's going to work in the legal field. Because if I hire you, you are going to take some direction from me. If you're being hired as something else where you can go on like I hire my accountant, I'm not telling my accountant what to do at all. They're all working together. They're all strategizing together. It's different, in my opinion. It does not matter if it didn't mean anything. Regardless, I don't believe that the judge would have even entertained this at all. But apparently he did, so he thinks something different. But anyway, I'm not going to get distracted with questions. Let me try to finish this. So at that hearing, Fani Willis decided she was going to come and she was going to argue it herself. And it was interesting because typically the DA doesn't come for that. So she ended up coming and she ended up coming to the hearing and doing it. And she was going kind of off about this revocation hearing. So they were trying to revoke his bond because he was on Twitter doing what Trump people do. So they were trying to revoke it, and she came in and she was kind of going in, and she got up and said that her colleagues was telling her to calm down, like she was doing too much. So that was just to your point that apparently that's what they say. Again, I think she's intelligent with what she says and how she talks. So that's why I said I know people that actually know the law. So she does seem very intelligent in what she does, and I think she's probably very effective. She probably has a good record when she was litigating, because you don't litigate as much when you become the head DA. Our head prosecutor or DA, we don't see her at all. So at all. I only see her on lunch breaks. You said, love you, Pam. Listen, I work for the city of Atlanta. There is an ethical protocol in place regarding fraternization, period. Thank you so much, Terry, aka Links. And again, I think some people are confusing, like somebody is bashing Miss Willis, but I'm not. Like I've said it. I said I'm disappointed because, first of all, you guys have to look at, and I'm not saying it's right, but we are a small percentage, we being Black women, of the total population of attorneys in this here United States of America. We are still fighting from, heck, we weren't even a part of the Constitution when it was written. Wasn't just because Black, but females weren't a part of it. Females had to get a right to vote. So we are behind the 8 ball in pay. We're high behind the 8 ball in a whole lot of things. And so we tend to have to overcompensate. We're up all night when probably a lot of the white males are asleep and don't give a dang. We try to overperform because any underperformance is going to be plastered all over the place. Everything we do more. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it is what it is, and you know that. We are literally probably 2%. I think 2% of the attorney population is African American. So that means that our percentage as women is even less. And when that happens, you just want to root for when you get a sister that ends up getting that powerful position. And you just have to be careful. And that's with everybody. We've all made mistakes. We've all done dumb stuff. I mean, when people come to you and they say, hey, do you want to run for judge? You got to sit back and say, dang, what have I done? What, everybody doesn't live their life to try to be a politician. Some people had lit 20s. Some people had some lit teenage years. So you got to look at all of that stuff. And now you were in office, and some of this stuff happened. Is just, to me, it's disheartening. And I think Trump and them, and again, it wasn't Trump's attorney that initiated, but they're doing their job. Like, they're trying their best to get their client off by any means necessary. That's what they're doing. And apparently this big show that we're seeing now is a part of it. So just here to learn said corporate CEOs have similar statistics. And you said PhD. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's okay. Listen, I like her, and I was giggling it too, but I know that it doesn't necessarily work out for you. That's all, just my opinion. Nobody has to agree with it. I think if you're running and you knew that part of the issue that you felt was happening was because you felt like the prior DA was sleeping with employees or fraternizing. Yes, we use the word employees, and we go back and forth on if you're contracted, if you get you got to go, when you get a contract as a lawyer or a law firm. I'm going against a law firm that is representing our city right now. The city still comes on and tells them certain procedures. The city holds the bag. So you really can't even settle. You can't do this and that without the city's approval. Your money is not approved but for the city. That's why I'm saying I know how it works as a lawyer. So a lot of your they can tell you can't do A, B, C, D, and E as the contractor as a law firm being contracted by the city. I have been approached by the city to be a contract from the legal standpoint from that. And I'm like, no. Because basically, in my opinion, a lot of them are puppets. As a lawyer, I have to do what I feel is best based on my experience or based on what I've learned. So it's different. And I'm not negating anybody. That's not your experience, because your experience is what it is as a contractor. But I'm saying my experience is one as a lawyer. That's it. That's it. And that's all. She didn't say he's the contractor. She said he's an agent. There's the difference. Contractors would have been more favorable. Okay. Maybe I'm using the wrong terms as well. I apologize for that. But yeah, there is definitely the way it works. I say contractor because it's a contract. There is you have a contractual agreement with them when you do that. So maybe I think everybody's thinking 1099 or whatever. But anyway, Miss Goody's Two Shoes said, I'm a lawyer too. You cannot settle without client authority. Wouldn't make them an employee. Okay. All right. Candy said, Pam, do you think they have text messages that they will reveal later to expose her, or would her attorneys have that information? This is an evidentiary hearing, and I think what they're doing, in my opinion, it sounds like, and just to be clear, a lot of people can be anybody on YouTube. So just because people say what they are doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that that's what they are. You can Google me, because plenty of y'all have called my office. But nevertheless, I digress. So please don't believe if you change your stuff to Dr. Smith that Pam just thinks, oh yeah, they are a doctor. Because I don't necessarily believe, because you can be whoever you want to be. I could have been the attorney general prior on this piece. So that's that. I know how it works as the government upper management. What was I gonna say? Y'all done threw me off. This thing, they still waiting in this hearing or whatever. So we are, look, I'm sitting up here trying to figure out something to talk about before they come on. Does anybody have any? I didn't watch Wade. So was Wade, in your opinion, was Wade and Fani's testimony similar? Like I don't know how I don't know how his testimony went, but I did, like I said, I heard her former friend, ex-employee or whatever. I heard her say that they had a relationship. I heard part of Fani's Madam DA. I hate just calling her Fani because I gotta put a handle on it. She worked very, very hard for that position. And I know a lot of people are starting to be like, Fani, Fani. I'm like, you better put a handle on that lady. She worked hard for that spot. But you said not okay, so she was more the child, listen. His testimony was a train wreck. Oh no. I think she answered differently to some of the questions than he did. Wow. Karen said they were tight. They set it up for her. It's interesting hearing other people's everybody's different opinions and takes on what happened. I'm so glad everybody is into it. Like it's a court hearing and everybody's watching it. I just think that is so cool. You know, I get excited when people care about what's going on in court. Elite said his testimony wasn't bad. That's good. Joy said yes, their testimony was basically the same, the trips and repayment of cash of each other. She was aggressive because they lied in writing on her. She did say, I did hear another another line she used where she said, what did she say? She said, about the document. She said, yes, we discussed the documents and we seen all the lies. He's a Southern gentleman, me not so much. So I was like, wow. So she basically was saying that she wasn't very happy with the lies. She said the lies, the lies. I don't know if she said anything specific as to what they were. And I seen a lot of times she did not answer the question. And that attorney that is directing her, who filed this motion to me, hasn't been the greatest when it came to dealing with her. Like they've never dealt with the person that is an adversarial opponent, because that's how they act. Every question you ask, they try to kind of get slick or beat around the bush, or they'll answer the question how they want to when it really doesn't answer your questions. That's when you tell the judge, you're like, Judge, can you tell them to answer the question? Or can I treat them as a hostile witness or whatever? You get the judge's assistance because they're not answering the questions. So I did see a few times where the lady, I can't think of her name, Merchant, I think it's Miss Merchant, she asked the question and Madam DA was like, she answered how she wanted to. That's not what I want to talk about right now. This is what I want to say. Hey, Kim, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. You know what? They might listen. They might as well stay together. She said they broke up. So listen, you might as well, all of this, at least be like, what is it? Amy Roebuck and the other guy. least they're still together. I mean, goodness, they fought the fight together. The scrutiny. Ruby said Wade lied beautifully. Fani came in 38 on fire. Was sounding a complete fool. Yeah, I heard she came into she's upset. I get it because in theory, they're using her relationship with him to discredit her and the choice to allow this indictment to go forward. But she didn't indict anybody. It was the grand jury. Like, it was really the citizens of that area that indicted Trump. You get what I'm, so you got to just stay focused. I think she's losing focus. And the crazy part is too with Madam DA is that I knew she had a relationship with him when she didn't do a press conference after this motion came out, because she's very vocal. So because you're very vocal and you answer and you respond to everything in the public, why wouldn't we think you're not going to respond to this in the public as well? Of course you will. So that's what was telling to me. I was like, dang. I told everybody, I was like, yeah, she's something is up with that, because she didn't say anything. And I'm like, and she talks about everything. Like, when doesn't she say something? Like, when? So Tori said, this is petty. Anything to find Trump not guilty and take the focus off. But that's what they do. What, you thought this was just going to be a walk in the park when they brought this indictment? They will find anything. They will try to find something your dog did wrong to another dog at the dog park. I'm just saying. We dealing with Trump. That's kind of how it goes. Candy said about that. I just have I don't know. I just have a sneaky suspicion that they have more information, that there still was some type of relationship of some sort past that date. I could be wrong. I just have a sneaky suspicion. KK Bonita said, my favorite part was when she put her hand up and told her, don't play with me. I know what you just tried to say. No, I remember with the male attorney, he said hoard, like hoarding stuff. And she thought he said whore. She said, what you just say? Oh my gosh. I said, she was like, oh, I thought you said something else. I agree. Oh my goodness. I'm over here on the she said that was cute. She is, but I don't want, but see, you see what I'm saying? Because of that, again, we are focusing on her spice. We're not really focusing on the fact that this has nothing to do with why Trump was indicted. Period. Bottom line, it has nothing to do with it. And she keeps trying to bring it up, but she's bringing it up in a defensive mechanism. And I'm not saying the way she's responding isn't it isn't justifiable, because that's how she feels, and they're attacking her character. And that's what I say. People could call me out my name or whatever, disagree with me, but if you come for my integrity, that's a whole different conversation. So I get why she's like that, because it's taken away from her. It's taken away from her skill, her credentials, what she's done and fought so hard, the tireless nights and all of that to get to the position that she's in. And that's why you got to protect it. And then to get on the stand and talk about, let's get into it. Why we broke up, why we not together. He feels like all women can do is make him a sandwich. Well, if he feels that way, then his wife should get some very handsome spousal support, because that basically means his wife did not have to work. But it also does not make sense that he would date you, who is in a high profile. They were both judges. So they met at some judicial conference. So why, if that's his stance that all women can do is make sandwiches, why in the whole heaven and the would he date you? He did not date you in undergrad when you just didn't know what you wanted to do. He did not even date you in law school, knowing what you were trying to do. He dated you as a judge, allegedly, or he met you as a judge, allegedly, or at a judicial conference. I don't know her positions, but I know he used to be a judge. And I thought I heard perhaps she was as well, if I heard correctly. But nevertheless, they met at a judicial conference. So how do you really feel? You knew this woman was not going to be at home making sandwiches. You knew she had ambition and that she was a professional in one of the greatest professions in this world, in my opinion. So that whole statement was just like, oh, okay, in my opinion. But again, if that's his opinion, then that means his ex-wife is gonna be straight. Okay. That 700,000 or whatever got off, he got off of Trump. She's owed a nice handsome amount of that. Because if you wanted your wife to stay at home, then you're going to have to maintain that status quo at least until she can get on her feet and figure out what she want to do with her life, because you chose to allow her to be a stay-at-home mom. So you're gonna pay for that, buddy. Even though the kids are grown and out the house, because my understanding is they waited. He wanted to divorce her back then, when some alleged impropriety happened with her. So he wanted to divorce her back then, but he waited because their kids may have been minors or something. And a lot of people do that. So, okay. Now we getting in. T Smooth Sound said wasn't Kilpatrick sentenced to 28 years and Trump freed him. That's the federal case. The federal case was not as simple as perjury. The federal case with former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick had to do with a whole lot of stuff. So you have to, him and his friend. He was like allegedly gearing all the contracts towards him for the city. I don't even want to get into that. It was a lot. He had more than just perjury. I was talking about the state case with Kwame Kilpatrick was based on perjury because he denied the relationship with his deputy chief. So one of y'all could answer Joyce's question. I didn't see that. Yeah. Yeah. And Mayor Kilpatrick is a very intelligent person too. He gave up his law license as well. I don't think they took it. I think he gave it up as part of whatever deal he had. Perhaps was it the state? I can't remember if he did that in the state or the federal, or maybe he did have to give it up. I don't remember, but I know he's not an attorney anymore. But while he was in prison, he practiced. He didn't practice, I guess, per se, but he helped a lot of people in prison. When he was in there, I helped a few people write their appeals and all of that. Very, very, I know people that went to law school with him, and I've spoken to him a few times. He's very intelligent. And just made dumb decisions. He tried to cover up his affair that he was having on his wife with his deputy chief, and he lied about it under oath, and he got a perjury. And Lee says she doesn't need to be removed and won't be. They haven't established anything. They're just wasting time and money on this. I would have to agree with you. I think it's a distraction. I don't think she's going to be disqualified. I don't think it's a reason to disqualify her. Again, the jury indicted this man and all these people, but they're doing their job. Like, we can all be pissed off and say it doesn't mean anything and all of that, but they're doing their job. If you're in a position with one of these and you're a defendant, and I'm not saying any of you guys would be windmilling and all that for Trump, but if you're out here and you're accused of similar things or whatnot, wouldn't you want your lawyer to find every piece of dirt that they could find to try to help you in your case? Like, That's what you will want if it's your loved one. That's what you will want. So I ain't mad at it. I'm mad at the point of that you allow this to even be an issue. Sometimes you cannot have the look of impropriety. You just can't. They tell you that. I represented a lawyer before, and that's pretty much what the judge said when she got into some federal issues. And honestly, to this day, I don't believe the lady had anything to do with anything. But it was literally you were found in positions where you can be accused of things or not whistleblowing on some things. And you witnessed it. And so sometimes the look of impropriety, they say, will jack you up more than actually doing the alleged crime. Because all it does is take a jury of your peers to believe the story that's being told. We have the look of impropriety in our ethics book. So I see her being why she was pissed off about it because people are looking at her, but you cannot always display that because again, what are people talking about right now? Her attitude, what she said, how she said it, which way, and it's turned into a reality show, a legal reality show when there's really a legal question on the table. And a lot of people don't even know the legal question. Everybody's watching it because they like it's the salaciousness of it. But this is this woman's livelihood. This is this woman's, she went to law school. She worked hard. Then she rose in the ranks at the DA's office. So this is a lot for her. I think Merchant was intimidated by Fani being a black woman. I think she definitely was intimidated. She definitely was. Well, this isn't a criminal case, and she's actually not on trial. So, no, her attitude shouldn't result in a guilty verdict because it's not a criminal case. It's just an evidentiary hearing as to whether she should be disqualified to be on the case or her whole office to be disqualified. I think it's too tenuous to try to say that her relationship with him affected her desire to want to bring this stuff. To me, again, like I said, she presents the case in front of the grand jury. They were indicted. So it's not really wrapping my. I was honestly surprised that the judge even entertained this stuff. I just I thought the judge was going to say, brief it on both sides and I'll come with opinion. Denied. So I'm really shocked, honestly, that he's doing a hearing. You said Merchant is horrible, but her male partner did all right. Even when Fani is not in the room, Merchant doesn't know how to lay proper foundation for evidence or witness. Wade said the only thing a woman can do. Yep, we talked about that. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. She's gonna be okay. Um, she's gonna be okay. She's gonna be okay. She's gotta calm down a little bit and let the law speak for her. But it looked more so like I mean it's publicized, everybody's streaming it. So I get it. I get it, but thank you so much, Brittany Chill, for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Welcome. Steven said, I think the judge is hearing it so that the public can't say he didn't at least look into it. You're right. It's a major case, and this is a newer judge. I think he's a great judge, but he's newer on the bench, and he's probably trying to cover himself. But this is going to be, you see how the YSL trial is like, it took 10 months for them to select a jury. Now that it's been in place, it probably won't conclude till 2025. In the YSL case, which is the RICO case going on, for those of you that don't know, over there at Fulton County, it's that judges, I don't know, they doing like 4 hours of testimony, taking breaks. That's supposed to be 20, 30, 5 minutes, and it ended up being 30 minutes to an hour. That people getting sick, jurors, issues with jurors. Now one lawyer, it's only one court appointed, is saying, listen, I'm becoming destitute. It's affecting my livelihood. I had to close down my office building because I couldn't afford to pay for it while I'm sitting here in this courtroom. So these RICO cases can be very expensive and time consuming. So I get it. He doesn't want any chance of them saying it's a mistrial. However, you can't be so overly cautious that you're just wasting time and money. But again, this is, a lot of people are engaged in this. A lot of people are watching for whatever reasons that they're watching. And I'm always down for that. Fani shouldn't have paid her boyfriend as special counsel. It's giving entitled third. She's lost all credibility via her poor judgment, in my humble opinion. That's what Carla said. Karen said the judge seems to move. He does. Overly cautious, in my opinion, because it's going to waste some time. But again, that's just my opinion. I respect your opinion as well, where you guys were saying he's trying to make sure that people ain't talking, saying he didn't give it any noise. But me personally, if I was on the bench, I wouldn't even did no hearing on this. I'd have looked at it and I'd have been like, I would have gave them a question to brief. And the question would have been, please tell me how her getting money or whatever that she allegedly got, gifts, trips, whatever it was, had to do with his indictment. Like, I would have asked the question, like, can we get to the nook and cranny of this? Because the disqualification portion, it does. How do you negate, at minimum? Let's just say you get the offices removed of Fulton County. So what are you gonna do? Go get Cobb County? Go get DeKalb County? Like, what are you gonna do? Get their DAs to do? And then I think Nathan Wade worked in Cobb County. He was their special prosecutor for something over there. Guess you can't go to Cobb either. Or can she just remove him as the head and then get somebody else? If he's the head, I don't know his position. Remove him and replace him. That's what I would have did. I'm like, so would you? Because if she would have offered that, said, you know what? I don't believe there's a look of impropriety at all. I don't believe it's anything. And I know for certain it was a jury. I mean, it was a grand jury randomly chosen in the community that indicted him, not me. I just presented the evidence. But because I want this to go forward and I don't want this to be a distraction, he can go, we'll replace him with somebody else if I can find somebody. Because I heard it was difficult to find people as well. We can replace him and we'll try to find someone. And then we'll move forward. And they would probably be like, no, that's not enough. And you'll know based on their response that this didn't really have anything to do with her and him. It really was, you guys are just trying to find an excuse for Trump. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's strategy. You let them, but I think a lot of it is she just doesn't want to concede because she's like, I ain't do nothing wrong. And I'm not going to let you guys think that I did. So that's why she's fighting the way she is. So I see both sides. Gigi, thank you so much for the super chat. She said the judge is messy with hair flicks, you know. She wanted her boyfriend. Sabrina said she wanted her boyfriend to have his name attached to a historical case. That's interesting, Sabrina. I never thought of that. I guess that would give him a few points, huh? I was a part. If he actually gets found guilty, that's interesting. I never even thought of that. Thank you so much for the comment. Fine 9JA said, I agree. Fani hiring him was not wise, and it appears she forgotten this Trump case is not her regular cases where nobody would be vetting everything. Fani doing that. And that's it. That's all I was saying. And again, I don't ever want to come across like I'm bashing her because she's very intelligent. And I tell people put a handle on her name because she is Madam DA. But gotta call a thing a thing. And that's for all of us. I think it's a lesson for each and every one of us. You just have to be careful how you move, especially when you get in these high positions. If anybody on here wants to run for something, if you want to run for judge, run for office in any manner, go up to DC, even your state local offices. Use this to know, like, you got to be careful. That's why when you have people whose family is legacy, they essentially, these people still ain't came on yet. Sheesh. They rear their kids up almost from kindergarten to be in the position that they're in. That's why they do things like, remember when the justice, what is his name? The justice on the Supreme Court. I can't think of his name right now. Is it Roberts? The justice on the Supreme Court that we had the big hearing because the lady came out and said that he had sexually assaulted her in high school and all of that. And it was very crazy because it looked like he had a calendar that he still had from around that time where he wrote down allegedly everything that he did. And everybody was like, that is just so weird. Why would you do that? He would write down different places he went and all of that. His parents probably told him to do that. That's how meticulous some parents are and methodical on trying to make sure that they put you in the right position so that when you want to run, you have the ability to do that. It's something that happens when you're younger. That's what I learned from a lot of politicians. Their parents put them, especially if their parents were in the political circle, they do the same thing. So that's why I'm saying now that you're in the position, of course, you have to be very careful with what you choose to do. Golden Reed said intellects. Both DA Willis and Mr. Wade said they were not romantically engaged when he was first contacted, and I believe them. Kavanaugh, yeah, that's his name. You said Clarence Thomas. Child, now you know Clarence Thomas. I still can't believe he got picked after third to kind of replace Thurgood Marshall. I was like, what? No, I don't remember Clarence Thomas. He's still running amok. So you believe that. So we believe now. So what we do know. So maybe this is what Bradley is going to come on to say what he knows. Because the lady that worked for him, worked for Madam DA before, that was her friend, she said otherwise. So Golden Reed says she believes them and they were not romantically involved. Maybe they were friends. Yes, they met and they knew each other in 2019 because they haven't disputed that. They just said they weren't involved with each other until later. So Golden Reed says she believes it. I'm sure it's a lot of people that believes it as well. You know what? I heard that he was not the first choice because there is another attorney. Banks is his name, I believe, from the hearing that came on because Banks was subpoenaed as well. And he was trying to quash his subpoena. Banks said that he was offered the position and he was like, yeah, nah, I'm a pass. So there definitely are a few people that it sounds like she offered it to and they told her, I'm good. Joanne, let me see what she walked in all cocky but walked out frazzled looking like the fool she is with her dress on backwards. Joanne Seguin, that's what Joanne said. Shabria said, thank you for calling right, and wrong. The people who are making this about race, like it's not about race. This is kind of how this game goes. Now, what I will say, like I said earlier, is you are expected to cross all your T's and dot your I's as a Black female attorney. I'm gonna say that because I've been through a judge saying girl, and I had to say, excuse me, who are you talking to? Like, this is not 1950. And I'm not that girl because I was not born in that era. The Lord knew what era I should have been born in because I wouldn't have lasted to do what he called me to do. So I've had to correct a few people. So I already know how that can go as a Black female attorney. But I just think that this is Trump. I think if there was a white person, see, Trump is an equal opportunist, okay? I think if Trump and his supporters, if it was white people, I think they would have brought this same motion. That's why I don't think it's a Black thing as to why they brought the motion. I just think that the defense attorneys are doing whatever they got to do, whatever they feel like they got to do. If your kids is acting up in school, we're going to find them too. They probably had a private investigator following her. That wouldn't even shock me. Following him. They probably were the ones that told his wife about, like, hey, could you look into some credit card statements and see if you see anything nefarious? Man, listen. Trump is an equal opportunity. She should have left well enough alone. She was Donald Trump copy. But a lot of people have told me that if I met her for the first time, I think that would be my opinion as well, that it came across a little arrogant. But a lot of people told me that's really her personality. Now, I did see one interview with her and it kind of gave off the same vibe. And I also saw the Trump, like I said, the hearing that they had to try to disqualify Harrison Floyd, not disqualify him, Lord, to revoke his bond, Harrison Floyd. And she was the same way. So that's she's feisty. I would love to see videos of her when she was like prosecuting a case. It would be interesting. Sometimes it gets that way in court, though. Val said that county has too much other things to deal with. They need to move along. Yeah. Kay Bonita said Trump knows everything about Madam DA. You best believe. Yes, y'all, please hit that like button. A little air. Smooth Style said if it's alleged that Black females go to college more than Black males, why is the assumption there are far less female lawyers than male out of the 2%? There is definitely, because there's statistics. I just don't have the exact statistics. I'm sure you can look it up. But yeah, statistically. C.A. Williams said Madam DA is fighting for her rep and career, but I love to see her study Justice Jackson, who was savagely attacking during her confirmation hearing. That is true. Justice Ketanji Jackson was definitely nice and poised, and she has some very intellectually phrased clapbacks in that hearing because they were going in on her, and they didn't even have anything to really go in on her about. It was like they had to go pull up some of her court opinions when she was on the bench and basically try to scrutinize how she chose to make certain rulings and stuff. It wasn't even anything in her personal life that they could even come after. But that's what they do. That's what they do. Both lawyers seem very underwhelming. Good morning, Santivia. Thank you so much. Sonia said if she was a man, her arrogance would be more easily accepted. Interesting. I think you can be confident and you don't have to just seem like you're smacking your lips and rolling your eyes all the time. you can be confident in what you're saying, but I just, there's no, I understand what you're saying, but I think on both ends, if you come across a certain way, regardless of whether you male or female, it's just not it. But I respect what you're saying. ABC said they probably got the jobs because of connections. There are smarter black lawyers, including you. Well, goodness, ABC, I appreciate the compliment, but I'm gonna say Madam DA she's intelligent and she deserved her position. From what I saw, she's been in the office for a while. I thought Howard was her mentor. I had an attorney tell me that. I don't know how true it is, but that was supposed to be her mentor at one time. And he was in the office maybe for, was it 25 years? She was in the office, but she's litigated and actually been boots on the ground as a litigator. I think being a practicing attorney is very important to be a judge. I think being a practicing attorney is very important to being a DA. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times judges, so like where I am, you have to, for 5 years, you have to be a lawyer licensed in order to run for judge. Oftentimes you get legacy lawyers, so they go off of their last name. What does that mean? That means that sometimes they not even qualified like that, okay? They just sit back at their daddy's firm for 5 years, do paper pushing, and then go be a judge. Well, to be a good judge, you should know about the law. You should know about rules of evidence. You should know your court procedures. You should know all of that. When you get judges that have not practiced, they don't care about your time. They'll have you sitting there coming in at 10 o'clock. They'll tell you to come in at 8 and they don't take the bench till 10. You'll go in there and you're almost teaching them what's supposed to happen because they don't really know. Same thing when it comes to, I think, being a prosecutor. I remember going up against a prosecutor one time and I'm like, they objected based on something. I'm like, there is no such objection. Show me that in the courtrooms. And it literally froze the whole courtroom. And everybody sat there and judges like, well, what do you have to respond? Because the judge was newer and the prosecutor was newer. And the judge, I could have been making it up as I was talking. And they really did not know if what I was saying was accurate or inaccurate. And it really stopped the whole proceeding. Like, well, I'll just take it back. That's pretty much what the prosecutor said. Well, I'll just take it back. You didn't even know. I could have been lying through my teeth and just making stuff up. And so I appreciate Madam DA saying that she had the experience because she did work in. So I'll never take away her experience. Again, I don't know how that office runs because I've never been a part of it. So Catch 22 said, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Trump is ordering his attorney from Team Timu as well. Nobody wants to work for someone that's not going to pay them. It's true. Madam DA is the real person under tons of pressure. The defense was asking questions about where her kids live. I think she came in to fight, and I understand that. That's from Stephen. Can't say your last name, but Stephen, thank you for the comment. Her off, C.A. Williams 2K7 said her mannerisms are off-putting. She was definitely irritated as heck. So Miss Goody Two-Shoe said Wade secured 4 plea deals. They know Wade. I don't know what you meant to say. That's some talking points. That's some talking points, that whole plea deal thing, because that's their talking points on the other side. Wasn't Madam DA a judge before? Could y'all tell me? I'm not sure. I thought she was. She was irritated because they made her think about that 50K she irritated about this whole thing. She done worked hard for 2 years to get all this stuff together, and now y'all trying to take it away over her trying to have a little fun. Yes. Okay. You say yes, she was. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Ty said, but on a serious note, I rocked with her about keeping cash and cash on vacations. A lot of people are like that. Lady Likeness said, I think they were asking where her kids were staying because she mentioned she felt unsafe at her house. They wanted to be able to say, why were your kids at your house if you felt so unsafe? Let me read that again. I think they were asking where her kids were staying because she mentioned she felt unsafe at her house. They wanted to be able to say, why were your kids at your house if you felt so unsafe? I guess I don't even understand what that has to do with the issue at hand. They're getting too far. Did somebody object as to relevance? Because they're getting too far to the left. See, this is what I'm saying. This type of hearing is going to cause more sound bites, and you can't unring a bell. You know, I know plenty of you have heard that before. So essentially, sometimes you get attorneys that say things like, but you slept with them, didn't you? Objection, irrelevant. All right, Your Honor, I'll take it back. That's okay. I'm not even going to respond. Strike the question, don't answer it. But how does the jury not think about, but you slept with them? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes things get out and it's not relevant to what's going on, but it's used just so that the jury can hear it because you can't unring a bell. But MLT13 said, thank you for all you do. And I thank you for the 1999 super chat. I thank you. Madam DA has been working this case for years before the indictment, and Trump couldn't find anything then. Mr. Wade and Madam DA are friends first. Okay, Kim Ann. Thank you for the $5 super chat. She has spoken. Kim said they were friends first, and Trump is just doing the most. Golden Reed said, thank you, Pam, for all you do. Thank you. I agree. I think all of you guys have valid points and positions. Like I said, I'm only doing it from my stance as an attorney. I just know what we go through that maybe a lot of people don't know what it is. And so I just feel like it just wasn't a good look. And I get it. Maybe her back was against the wall and people did not want to take the position. I don't know if you put an ad in the paper. I don't know how you how you ask people, are you interested in being one of the ones to take down Donald Trump for $250 an hour that might last about 3 years, 4 years? Are you interested in that? I could see that not being that enticing. But I mean, again, he's made over the last couple of years, I guess he's made what, close to 700K? Marlon said, Madam DA said she was asked to move into her friend's condo, and her friend said the opposite. Do you think that's relevant? I mean, I guess it just shows that they both said they never lived together. So she would have never seen them together if she took over, if Madam DA took over the lease, if she had Wade up in the house and they were having Netflix and chill, she wouldn't have been there to really see it unless she was going there to collect rent and pay on her behalf or something. She wouldn't have been there. That's what I'm saying. A lot of this stuff just sounds irrelevant to me. And you've seen that this was going to happen during this evidentiary hearing. There's a lot of irrelevant information, and they're just trying to dirty her name. This is more like a character assassination than anything. And I just wish she would have avoided it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, really, B. I appreciate that super chat. But Ty Wood said it's relevant because she's trying to say that she got that condo as a love nest. So they trying to say she really got the condo. See, but didn't her friend say that Madam DA was living with her dad at the time? So are they saying she just had 2 houses and that one house she took was supposed to be the love nest to let Nathan Wade come stay with her? That's still not relevant to anything. Who cares? It's just, I wish she didn't put herself in this situation. It happens. Marlon Holt. I'm sorry, I jacked your name up. If you date a man and you give him 600,000 plus, are you paying for vacations? I'm not, because she know how much he make, right? she knows. She knows what he can afford. You can make 100,000. I'm not paying for it. So I mean, but each his own. TA said, yes, she did. Dad will testify. Okay. So Shonda Shantae said, not relevant. They could have got a hotel or Airbnb if that's the case. Okay, Shonda, you got a lawyer over here. She's saying, listen. Listen, I'm glad he didn't, because then they would have said he paid for an Airbnb for a month over here so he can be with her. But didn't he have his own place anyway? Couldn't she have went over to his house? See, that's what I'm saying. Now we get into these people's business so deep, and it just has nothing to do with Trump allegedly trying to overturn an election. Nothing. But we know all about their houses. She keep cash. She been to Aruba. Fani said he the type of dude that want to throw what they do for you in your face, so she paid because she ain't need his coins. It sounded like she was kind of throwing a little shade at brother Nathan. Ooh. Really, B? Why would you send me this type of stuff? Wow. Oh. So guys, I did want to they're still waiting. They said 10 o'clock. It's 10:30. I have literally babbled for an hour, even though I've enjoyed it. For those of you that have been following the infamous Sylvia situation, I actually privated that video. I might unprivate it. I just did it yesterday because my whole intent was to do it for 24 hours. I was going to do it in members only at first, and then I just decided to keep it out on the platform for 24 hours, and I privated it. From my understanding, and I can't validate this thing anyway because the systems are down in Fulton County. But from my understanding, the information that I received, so this is all alleged and it is not Pam done verified, but people have asked me. I guess I could call again. Maybe I'll call. But she was supposed to be the whole situation is in another county. So the county, if it's in another county, they're the ones that have to pick you up. So from my understanding, they had not picked her up from Fulton County yet. So that's why she's allegedly still in Fulton County. What? He's streaming her bond hearing. Lord Jesus. He's streaming it right now, Aaliyah, or that's what he said he was going to do. Aaliyah, is that what he said he was going to do, or is that what he's doing now? This is crazy. No, as soon as I jump off, this mug start going. Catch 22 said Dennis or something. Oh gosh. You know what? What? He ain't even tell me that. He tell me everything I don't want to know, but he ain't tell me that. What? He need to cut it out. How the heck I'm gonna stream his stream then. Let me see. Oh Lord have mercy. He is crazy. I can't with Dennis. Let me call him right there. See if he answers. I'm trying to see if he'll answer my call. He ain't answer. Is he in court or is this something online? Let me look it up. Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know, Madam DA. You might be trumped right now. Because it's going to happen in Fulton County, though. Right? Because she's in, will it happen in Fulton County? Maybe she's in the other county. Oh, Jesus. Oh, he fake. He gonna text somebody about to cover a hearing. He say he don't even want to tell me what it is. You see how people do on the internet, but then they want to I'm gonna tell you, you are so phony. But you don't want to tell me what it is because you think I'm gonna go try to figure out how to cover it or something. Child, I'm over here in Florida. I'm about to leave the house. But I'm gonna remember that, Dennis Byron. He talking about, here we go. Dennis, I'm on live right now. And I was advised that you were streaming Sylvia. So you're going to text me talking about I'm about to stream a hearing, but you don't want to tell me what it is. You fake as hell. And I just wanted to let the whole world know. What you got to say to the public right now? Because you got 730 people on here. What do you want to say? You not talking? Dennis. Say something to the people. They want to know. They want to know why you didn't tell the law intellect about this stream, but we talked an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Y'all hear him? You hear him laughing? That's all he had. I know you got me alive. That is consciousness of guilt. You hear that laughing? You hear that?
You better have me alive.
Huh?
You better have me alive.
You are definitely on live right now because I'm live. I was trying to wait on Madam DA before I got in these Florida streets. And
she's not showing up.
She's not. So is it not going to happen?
It's going to happen, but she just declined not to come back on the stand through cross-examination, waiting for Bradley to Attorney Bradley to show up because he's the next witness. Mm-hmm. But he's in he has a doctor's appointment, but his attorney said that he'll be at the courtroom at 10:30, but he's yet to arrive. We're just waiting to see. He's probably going through security now.
Yeah, I saw that. I have that. They said we just been kicking it for like an hour and a half, waiting on all this foolishness. But then they said Dennis has a thumbnail of Sylvia's bond hearing, and I said, Dennis Byron, the one I talked to an hour and a half ago, and never said anything about that. You can't be talking about hip hop and choir, Dennis.
The one and only.
You are whack. See how YouTube does?
No, hold on. Time out.
There is no loyalty on YouTube.
Hold on. Can I call you right back?
I'm sure.
I'm gonna call you right back.
You so fake. You guys heard you guys never heard Dennis be that quiet. You see what I'm saying? Shonda said that's 50 Cent level. You know, everybody on YouTube just want to be first. It's just that's how they are. And I'm not like that. People will tell me breaking stories that they have, and I never just run on the internet like, let me go ahead and talk. Because the thing is, you guys know, if we don't watch it live when Dennis does it or whatever it is, I'm gonna come back later when I have time to go over it. And you guys are still gonna want to hear my opinion. So I don't have to like compete with people that choose to do it live because I have my own commentary. So it ain't that deep. But that's how people are. That's why Dennis sat up there and reported she got arrested when she hadn't got arrested yet, because everybody want to be first over on YouTube. What, Grant? What you say? You said I wanted to ask him about his left stroke. What? I'm sorry. Miss Cinnamon said everybody. They do over here, but look, but they'll call you. Pam, you got the documents? Pam, what about this? Can you look this up? Pam, I know you know this judge. Can you find this out? Pam, they always do that. And then they don't want to, like when they get stuff, it's like, let me keep it close to the vest because I don't want her to have this information. I want to get all the people on my live. It's like YouTube is a dirty game. Marlon says Sylvia was arrested for what? Yeah, Sylvia was arrested for allegedly stalking and trespassing this guy named Dana, who she's been in beef with for the last 4 years. So she's tried to file a restraining order against him in 2020. It was denied by Judge Manning. Then I guess he tried to do a restraining order. They've been going back and forth. I don't really know the backstory enough to know why they're going back and forth like this. It sounds a little ludicrous. I think her side of the story is going to be a certain way and his is going to be a certain way. So I'm just giving my opinion. And so I'm giving my disclaimer that this is just my opinion without having sufficient information on both sides. I think that Dana, I don't know this guy, but I believe that he's somewhat like, okay, so allegedly they have some type of camaraderie based on both liking R. Kelly and they're R. Kelly super supporters. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, guys. The music was too loud down there. But so this is my opinion. I feel like perhaps now apparently there was some issue over him not paying for a car. This guy Dana allegedly bought a car from Sylvia but never paid for it. Then he said the car was a lemon. I've heard so many different stories, but they've done tit for tat is what it sounds like. So he's done things to her. She's allegedly done things to him. And apparently the things that she's done to him actually stuck in court. And so now she has to face the alleged consequences of what they're saying. Again, she is innocent until proven guilty. It could all be a farce, but she was arrested on Wednesday. She was arrested on Wednesday while she was at court trying to stream the YSL trial. For those of you that don't. They are super supporters, Love TV, super. Like they were down there at the trial and stuff. Yeah, she allegedly has a bond hearing today. So good morning. So it looks like ain't nobody showed up yet. So I don't know. Sylvia and Dana are fighting for position as R. Kelly super fans. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I don't know, but I heard R. Kelly don't know near one of them. So I don't understand the point. But hey, who am I? So yeah. She recorded her at her mom's home while Dennis was reporting. Saying she would. Court is back. Let me see. Let's see what they're talking about. Child, we might have to take a break and see what's going on with what's the name? Yep. Let me see. I'm gonna keep an eye on what Dennis does. I'm gonna get my charger. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. We might have to switch gears, Clayton.
Leah's still not with us in person. However, there's a proposal to potentially move on to other witnesses. Why don't we start with the state? Ms. Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, in order to be efficient with the court's time, we have a witness here and prepared to take out of order, and it sounds as though there's no objection from the defense, so we can do that at the court's convenience.
We don't have any problem taking him out of order, but it's our understanding Governor Barnes is here to establish that he was the first choice of Ms. Willis, and she testified to that, so I don't think she's deal with it. I don't know why we can't call him to establish the fact it's already established. We're not refuting that fact. On that fact.
Ms. Cross, I think did she say it was her first choice? Did she not say who was her first choice?
I think that's, I don't believe that the governor's name was mentioned. I think there are some facts and circumstances surrounding the search for someone to take over the lead of this investigation at that time. Now, prosecution is something that, given the allegations in the case, is certainly relevant.
All right. It doesn't sound like it would be all that long a witness.
I don't think.
Anyhow. All right. So in that case, we can transition over. And Ms. Cross, I'd like to call your witness.
Thank you. The state would call Governor Roy Barnes.
And just so I'm clear, so you had told us not to ask questions about qualifications. So we did not ask any of our witnesses about qualifications. So the state's now going to bring in evidence of that. We would just ask, I'll be able to go into that.
Sounds to me, well, Ms. Cross.
If you want to ask Governor Barnes about his qualifications, that's certainly something he'd have knowledge of. I don't know what his basis of knowledge for anyone else's qualifications might be, but I also don't think that opens the door to anything other than what my understanding of what the testimony is.
As I hear it, the issue of qualifications versus who was her first choice is going to be relevant to her intent, maybe, and perhaps that issue of the case in whole. I don't think that necessarily opens the door. We'll see how it goes.
I believe he's being brought up, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Cross, assuming this may be a 10 to 15 minute witness, does the state have other witnesses on deck they'd like to go forward with as well?
Yes, we called to gather everyone we could, so we can go forward with another witness, I believe, after this.
All right, appreciate it.
As you guys see, Dennis never called me back because I was never the point, because he don't want to have to give me information about this bond hearing. You see how people are? I just want to make sure you guys understand, literally live stream with him, how this stuff works. This petty stuff is so petty, and it's like not that deep.
I do. Roy Eugene Barnes, Royeugene, Barnes, Barnes.
Say, good morning, Mr.
Morning.
Barnes. Can you tell the court a little bit about your background as it relates to your service in public service?
I was first elected to the state senate in 1974 from Cobb County, and I served 16 years there. And then in 1990, I ran for governor and was defeated. And 2 years later, I went back to the House of Representatives. I was elected to the House of Representatives, served 6 years until I was elected governor in 1998, and I served in that position until January of 2003.
And after serving in the position of governor, can you tell the court a little bit about what you transitioned into after your public service?
I did exactly what I was doing before I was elected. I went back to practicing law in Marietta, Georgia, with my daughter, who's now judge of the state court, and my son-in-law. And now we have, I think, 6 or 7 lawyers. Charlie Bailey back there was one of them at one time.
Okay. And Governor Barnes, would you consider yourself to be a trial lawyer?
Yes. That's,
Okay.
We don't write contracts or we don't write wills. All we do is try cases.
And I want to direct your attention back to 2021, where you were approached by the district attorney of Fulton County, Fani Willis, about being a special prosecutor.
I was. I don't recall the exact date, but I know it was sometime in 2021. And she asked me to come down, and I met with her and Nathan Wade, and there were several other in the meeting. She asked me, said they were beginning this investigation, and she asked me if I'd be interested in being special prosecutor, to which I replied that I had mouths to feed at a law office, and that I would not do that. And also, I just had a bad, well, I won't say bad because it happens from time to time, but I just had a FBI.
1 second, we're going to take a quick pause. He said they sat down with Nathan Wade. So that means that what would Nathan Wade be there for unless he was already hired before they even asked this guy? Did y'all catch that? Let me go ahead.
FBI to report a fella, militia trainer, to me that said they were concerned that he was making threats against me. And because I thought it was because of the flag, but I asked him and he said, no, it was because I was too close to the Jews, quote unquote. And I told DA Willis I'd lived with bodyguards for 4 years, and I didn't like it. and I wasn't going to live with bodyguards for the rest of my life.
Ultimately, you turned down.
Yes. Yeah, I told her. I said, I'm not interested.
Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Merchant.
Ms.
Morning,
Merchant?
Governor Burns. How are
Morning.
you?
Just fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You said it was sometime in 2021. Do you remember?
I think it
early?
was. I don't remember the dates. They all go. I could look it up on my calendar at the office, but I don't have that.
Well, I want to ask you about some statements that Ms. Willis made March 28th, 2021. She was talking about assembling a team for this case. Are you familiar with her work assembling a team for this case?
Well, I assume that's what she was talking to me about. But besides that, I don't know.
I know you had said you had a meeting with some folks and Mr. Wade was at that meeting.
Correct.
Okay. So he was with the district attorney interviewing you about taking this case.
Well, of course, I know Nathan very well, as you do.
Yes.
And I exchanged pleasantries with him, but the conversation was with Ms. Willis.
Okay, with Ms. Willis. Were you aware at the time that her team consisted of Brian Watkins, Megan Vargas, Sonia Allen, Shannon Trotty, Sao Chan, and John Floyd? She had reported that was her team.
Okay, people keep saying that he was there to try to help her vet people or there was a committee. That's fine, it was a committee, but the point is all of this stuff still is we're trying to separate the two. You see what I'm saying? Like you try to separate the two that he didn't have no dealings in any of this stuff. I'm gonna finish listening to what he has to say. He's like that southern swag little his accent.
Team on this case.
I know John Floyd was involved, and she probably told me the others. But listen, I barely remember what case I tried last year, much less every word that was said in the conversation.
I understand, fair enough. But she said she was looking to hire more lawyers and investigators to work on this case.
She told me, it was to me, she said, would you be interested in being special prosecutor in this case? And I gave the reply that I've already known. I mean, about hiring other lawyers or whatever, I don't know. All I can testify to is what she told me.
Did she tell you at all why she wanted to hire special counsel and not use someone who was an ABA, not have an actual employee?
No, she did not. I mean, we did not discuss that. And, but I would assume it was because in a case as big as this, that you'd have to have an assistant help. I know John Floyd has been in some cases over the years out in Cobb County, for example, and others.
Would you agree that an employee of her office, someone who was paid a state salary or a county salary as an ADA, could handle a case like this?
I couldn't tell you that unless I knew the person, knew their experience, and really had been with them in a courtroom.
All right.
Has an opinion on that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Say no.
Hello, Mr. Sadow.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
I hope you're well.
I'm doing fine, just getting older, but that beats all time.
That's true, but that applies to all of us, I believe. I think you indicated that if you had your calendar, you'd be able to pinpoint a date for
I
us.
would.
Is there a way for you, for example, at a break before you actually leave to contact your folks to see if you can get a date?
I guess I could. I don't know how far back we archived those, but I assume I could.
Would you be willing to give that a shot for us?
I mean, I'll do whatever the court instructs.
So if I ask the court and the court says, go ahead and you could do it, that's all right?
I'll do whatever the court instructs.
I hear you.
And you should too.
I try to live by those words. I'm not always successful, but I try. If I pinpoint a date, for example, I think the record is clear that Mr. Wade was hired for the position on November 1 of 2021. Does that help you at all?
No, it does not.
Okay. Then let's go to the meeting. It sounds like it was just one meeting.
Yes.
Cute, I
Could
like
you tell us where that meeting took place, if you
It was in
remember?
the conference room adjacent to the district attorney's office.
So was it in this, or the adjoining building?
It was in the Lewis Slate building.
And District Attorney Willis was there, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And Mr. Wade was there?
The best I recall, now I could be mistaken about that, it's like anything that far away, but that's my recollection.
Do you have a recollection of anyone else being present?
Yeah, there was some other folks, but I don't remember.
Do you remember, were you introduced to Mr. Wade by anything other than you already knew him? Was he given a title
I
or
would have
anything?
known.
So at least as you're there, if I heard you correctly, Miss Willis did all the talking, Mr. Wade did not.
I mean, we exchanged pleasantries, but as far as the basis of the conversation, the reason I was there, Ms. Willis did the talk.
And would you be able to give us
Could y'all stop putting Dennis's live in my chat, please? Thank you.
an estimate how long this meeting lasted? Just
Probably-
rough.
Probably an hour.
And during the meeting, you made it clear, but it was the thanks for the offer, but no thank you.
Oh, yes, I did. As I said, I started off as a prosecutor, and for about 10 or 15 years, I did nothing but criminal. And then, but I've tried to move away from it and do primarily civil now. Mr. Gillen and I have done some white collar cases over in federal court. I've got one over there right now, but it's generally business related, where I have a client that's got a kid or him getting indicted. And the case I have over there now is an alleged fraud case.
He said alleged.
Fair to say that
Right.
based on your career and the work that you've done, you've handled high profile cases, correct?
I have. I've handled some pretty good cases. I sued Syria one time for beheading a client of mine, recovered $82 million. I guess that's the best high profile, but that was in DC. I tried that.
Let me tell you my credentials.
And what would be considered complex cases, you've handled those as well, correct?
Yes, I mean we regularly do mass torts, class actions, business torts, breach of contract, and most of those are high complex or complex, requiring many experts. We also do malpractice. I did malpractice defense for about 25 years, but since I've returned from the governor's office, I try not to represent an insurance company anymore. And I just tried a malpractice case before Judge Edlin in November. And those are complex cases because of the type of, medical knowledge and that you have to have, and also because of the many experts that you have.
Thank you. Did Miss Willis, and this is the last question, did Miss Willis tell you why she had sought you, why you had been her choice?
No, I hadn't, but I get consulted fairly often on major cases.
Would you believe, based on circumstances in which you were given the offer, that it had to do with the fact that you had handled complex and high profile cases in the past?
It could have been. I know her very well. I tried a case against her. She worked for the JQC, and I represented Judge Robert Crawford, Mac Crawford, and she prosecuted him, and I defended him. She beat me at the trial. I turned it around at the Supreme Court.
So you had some experience.
Oh, I had plenty of experience with it. She's a very qualified young. Well, everybody's young to me, but she's a very qualified.
After that one occasion, did you have any other contact with her in reference to the position itself or who she might be considering?
I had some conversations with her or Jeff DeSantis or some of those, but not really an in-depth, about who she should hire or anything like that.
Did the name Nathan Wade come up in those conversations with her? No, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Nathan was there, I thought. Now, I could be mistaken, but I thought Nathan was there when
for the
I think
conference.
Nathan was. I'm not positive Nathan was there when I met with him.
Right. And my question was probably poorly worded, but what I was asking is after the conference and whatever consulting you might have done,
Yes.
did Miss Willis or Mr. DeSantis bring up the name Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor?
I don't think so. I don't recall one. I mean, Nathan is a good organizer. Nathan can organize stuff. I've watched him over the years. So I wasn't surprised that he was acting as a special prosecutor.
And Mr. DeSantis, for the record, who is that? Jeff DeSantis?
Jeff DeSantis.
Do you know who he is?
Oh, yes.
Could you tell us who he is for the record?
Jeff works in the DA's office. I knew him when he worked for Thurber Baker.
You know what his role in the DA's office is?
I have no earthly idea.
Is he in media? Does that sound familiar?
He has done media in the past. Jeff has generally been, I like Jeff, and I'm very close to him, but he's generally been on the other side of my campaigns.
All right, so we're talking the best of your recollection, conference, we don't have the date, I'm asking if you could possibly get it, but the conference you have, Mr. Wade could have been there,
Yes, I'm almost sure he was.
and Miss Willis, obviously, and Mr. DeSantis was there.
I think Mr. DeSantis was too.
And as far as whether there was anyone else there, you don't
I
have a
don't
present
recall.
recollection?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next time I'll take a picture, so I'll have an exact,
Next time, hopefully, you won't have to be here.
well, hopefully not.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Stockton.
No questions, Judge.
Thank you.
Mr. Durham.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McDougal.
No questions from the governor, Ron?
Mr. Rice.
No questions, Judge.
Mr. Gillen.
I've been waiting for this for years.
I couldn't give up the chance getting up here, Governor. Good to see you again.
Good to see you,
We've
Craig.
done some work in the past together, haven't we?
I consider you to be one of my best friends and a crackerjack lawyer.
Well, I will say to you on the record that I can understand why they came to see you because you're the finest lawyer that I've ever worked with.
Thank you. I need to put you in the next day.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get that. But I got one or two more questions. You and I working together when it's appropriate. We've had no qualms about filing motions to disqualify the DA, have we?
No.
Matter of fact, you and I successfully disqualified the DA out in Cobb County in the Brown case, didn't we?
We did.
So whatever needs to be done should
You
be done.
represent your client.
You got that. Thank you so much.
Mr. Coturo, are you still with us by Zoom?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, and Mr. Cromwell for Ms. Latham?
No questions, Ron.
All right, any redirect, Mr. Abadi? Can this witness be excused?
Your Honor, is there a way that we could potentially ask for you for that date if you can get it?
The question is, you want the exact date that the meeting occurred?
Yes, if you can get that.
And I'm wondering if we can, if it's really material, the exact date rather than just its proximity to the November 1st hiring. Is that fair? If he knows whether it was far earlier in the year versus maybe closer, would that obviate the need for the exact date?
If you can't get the exact date, of course, we'll take the best we can.
Okay, let's start there.
All right. Let me
Think, well,
look
you
around.
may take care of it for us just if we hold in place here.
I'm not sure I have this.
Well, let me try this first, Governor Barnes, before you do a deep dive in the email there. Do you recall what time of year it was when this meeting occurred?
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
I mean, you know how this is. The cases and the days moved together. I had a fellow a few years ago that said I represented him in 1978, and I told him I'd take his word for it.
Now, I gotta ask, though, you wouldn't do that if it was a question of him saying he just paid you.
No, I would not. I will tell you, I believe lawyers should be well paid, Mr. Saban.
All right. So, sir, is that something?
I'll have to look. It didn't come up right.
Okay. All right. We'll ask this witness to step down subject to recall. And that might be something the state can present with stipulation as well. All right. Thank you, sir. Do we have an update on Mr. Bradley?
Lawyer. Lawyer should be here. He's probably outside on stage.
The last estimation I heard was about 11:30.
Okay. If that's still the case, then Ms. Cross, did you have another witness available?
But having brought over, it's Mr. John Floyd, not the special prosecutor, John Floyd. John Floyd, Mr. Attorney Willis' father.
Okay. And is he heading this way?
Yes.
All right.
Are they doing anything else, or they're just waiting on Bradley?
Mr. Ward, we're just holding in place for taking witnesses out of order. Do you have any updates on Mr. Bradley?
Yes, so he, in this point, may last few more hours. However, he's going to make himself available for Zoom as possible. This is the easiest way to provide his testimony.
All right. Ms. Merchant?
I was outside looking for them.
Sure. We found it.
I'm sorry.
So he is asked whether the defendants would accept his testimony by Zoom.
As long as I can show him documents if he needs his memory refreshed, then that's fine.
It is not.
With due respect.
Yeah, the state would have an objection to this witness not appearing in person.
Understood. All right, Mr. Ward, I think we're going to need continual updates from you, and also some kind of expectation of what this afternoon is going to look like. I was never informed of a medical appointment, and I think the notice in this hearing indicated it would last at least 2 days. So right now, I think he's in violation of his subpoena.
Again, Your Honor, I believe that the counsel's given notice of his doctor's appointment and his one yesterday. He took a stand yesterday. We were hoping to be able to his testimony yesterday. I stayed here all day. This appointment started at 9. It's out of his control with regards to, again, the issues involved with it, and as well as
I'm just trying to get more. I mean, we initially been told maybe it was going to be 9:30 and 10. Do we have any better idea to get a realistic expectation of when we think we can have him here?
If it's your honor's wish, come on in, and go back to
Is he?
So, look, this is Dennis's stream because I'm tired of y'all coming in here. He is
She might have
showing.
an explanation.
He is up here talking right now because you guys keep saying he's streaming this bond hearing. He is talking on his live. I'm looking at it. And he has a picture which looks like when Sylvia, perhaps I think they had some oral argument on a Rule 22 or something. He has some court picture what it looks like on the screen. But it's not streaming a bond hearing right now. Now, whether he plans on doing it, I don't know, because as you guys seen, he hurried up and got off the phone with me so he wouldn't have to tell me what his plans were, which is his prerogative, but it's duly noted. It's duly noted how this conversation went because he's going to swear that it didn't happen the way I said it happened. But that's what everybody's over there doing now is just listening to him talk and saying she's still in jail and that, you know, Clayton County, what I told you guys, they have a certain amount of days to pick you up and they haven't done it yet. That's it.
Cross.
Mr. Lante will,
Mr. John Floyd.
Mr. Floyd, if you could have a seat, sir.
can I approach the witness quickly?
Thank you.
So now it's information that I guess Dennis plans on streaming, even though that's what the thumbnail said. And then I guess allegedly he gonna share it with me. But as you guys seen, I have not talked to Dennis, so that's what he said.
Tell the court, are you currently retired?
Yes, I am.
And prior to being retired, can you tell the court a little bit about, did you work in the legal career? Were you a lawyer?
I was an attorney. I practiced law. I've probably tried 1,000 cases. About 50% of my practice was criminal law. 25% of it was family law. And the rest was whatever walked through the front door could pay for it.
Okay. And
Can we wait 1 second? The governor's come back. He might
I
have-
do. My calendar shows it was October 26, 2021.
All right. And would defense counsel accept it as a stipulation, or is there any follow-up questioning needed on that? Mr. Barnes is still considered under oath on this point. All right. I'll just look for a show of hands or for someone to speak now on Zoom, and hearing none. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
And sir, can you tell the court, are you from Atlanta?
No, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I spent most of my legal career, I would say, in Washington, D.C. was kind of the circle, but I've tried cases all over the country, and I tried the longest. I was the first lawyer to try an international criminal court. I was with the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. I was in trial there for 4.5 years in Arusha, Tanzania, and Hague in the Netherlands.
Come on,
when
sir.
you weren't there, it sounds like the kind of center of gravity was Washington, D.C.
Correct, but I've tried cases in West Virginia, Virginia,
Tell
Maryland,
him, sir.
Florida, California.
All
Yes.
over.
Yes.
And do you, sir, can you tell the court, do you have any children?
I have one daughter, Fani Willis.
Okay. And
You got one child?
I want
Wow.
to direct your attention back to 2019, okay?
Yes.
Back in 2019, can you tell the court, did you move here to Atlanta?
I was living in Johannesburg, South Africa. And unfortunately, for some reasons, I could not get an extended visa. When I retired from the practice of law in 2018, I moved to South Africa. And I had to leave South Africa, and I did then come to Atlanta.
Okay. And do you, sir, remember about the time period in 2019 when you moved in with your daughter here in Atlanta?
It would have been the spring or summer of 2019.
And after you moved here, did you get a driver's license to kind of confirm your residency within Atlanta?
Well, my driver's license for the District of Columbia was going to expire on my birthday, which is in October. And yes, I did get a license here in the state of Georgia.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Her daddy said, I'm qualified.
Okay, Your Honor, would you, if you don't mind, my eyes are very bad, which is one of the reasons I retired. And so I need a magnifying glass, so I'll be
Whatever you
constantly, thank you. Yes, I see it was issued on 9/28/2019.
Okay, so before we get there, do you recognize State's Exhibit 2?
Yes, just my driver's license.
And is State's Exhibit 2 a fair and accurate copy of your physical driver's license?
Absolutely.
This time, Your Honor, the state would tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2 into evidence.
Seeing no other objections, it's submitted. State's Exhibit 2 is submitted for the record.
Now, and for the record, Your Honor, the state is going to supplement State's Exhibit 2 with a redacted copy of the license. The current copy is not redacted with the address and things of that nature.
Okay. Do we need to mark that differently in any way?
I will mark it as State's Exhibit 2A.
Perfect.
Now, you talked about when your driver's license was issued. Can you tell the court when was that driver's license here, your Georgia driver's license issued?
It was on 9/28/2019.
Okay, so September 28th, 2019. Now, when you moved into District Attorney Willis's home, who lived there?
Well, my daughter lived there. I lived there, and from time to time, my grandchildren would come.
Okay, and did your grandchildren, were they at school coming and going?
Exactly. I think they were in school in various jurisdictions.
And during the time, how long did you live at or with Miss Willis and at her home here in Fulton County?
She was forced to move after she was elected. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole thing, but that, Your Honor, if Your Honor will indulge me. After she was sworn in on January 1 of 2021. And on or about the 3rd of February, at probably 5:30 a.m. in the morning, there were people outside her house cursing and yelling and calling her the B word and the N word. And just, it was bizarre. Okay. It just.
Sorry. Pause, sir. Mr. Arbani. Here's the objection to you.
He would say it's effect on listener. He was present while all of this was occurring. But I can.
No, that's. And he's saying he was personally present to hear these things?
Yes.
Okay, overruled.
Okay. And fortunately, the neighbors called the police and disbanded the group. And, it was just, I hadn't seen anything exactly like it before.
Okay. And after that happened, can you tell the court that Miss Willis would have to move from her home?
Yes, she was forced to leave.
Okay. And can you tell the court after she was forced to leave, shortly after she was sworn in, did you remain at her home in Fulton County?
Yes, I stayed there really until 2022, I guess.
And from what you described, did you fear for her safety?
Absolutely. Not only did I do that, the South Fulton police, they brought a man with a dog, because there have been so many death threats. And they said they were going to blow up the house. They were going to kill her. They were going to kill me. They were going to kill my grandchildren. On and on and on. It just, it became, and I was concerned for her safety.
And after those concerns came to your attention, and after what you heard and saw that day, you remained at the house?
Yes.
And can you tell the court with what you just described, why did you remain living at the district attorney's home here in Fulton County?
Mr. Buck?
I believe it's relevant based on a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday of Ms. Willis.
It's relevant.
About the security threat and the fact that it was implied that those threats were not necessarily real in the sense that Mr. Boyd remained in the home. There were many questions about the fact that he remained and her children could still come and go to the house. I think it's relevant based to the testimony that was elicited from defense counsels yesterday.
Overruled.
Well, these South Fulton police, first they put a car in front of the house that was there permanently, a police car. That was thing one. Thing two, they brought a person with a dog sometimes more than once a day, twice a day, and they would circle the house to look for bombs. I knew that that was a house that my daughter had worked for. It was a brand new house. She's the only one who had ever lived there. It's a 4-bedroom, brand new house. And somebody needed to protect the house. And I stayed there to basically take care of the house, to take care of the yard, to take care of that. Also, somebody sprayed, again, the B word and the N word on the house. And I don't think my daughter even knew that. I cleaned it off and called the police, and South Fulton police. They have, I'm sure, all the records of all the things that happened. And all of the neighbors, I notified all the neighbors to look out and to watch out. And it was so crazy. I mean, it was just so crazy. We'd have people would show up and park car. There was a guy parked for probably 8 hours out in front of the house. It was just, and we'd call the police and,
Now, at the time that you lived there with Ms. Willis, and I guess even when you remained, so during the time period of 2019 to the end of 2020, are you aware if Ms. Willis was dating someone?
Yeah, she did. She had a boyfriend when I first got there.
And did you meet her boyfriend?
Yeah, I met him often.
Okay, and did you know him by any specific nickname?
Yeah, Deuce.
Okay, and can you tell the court while you were living there, how often would you see him?
Sometimes every day, sometimes, every other day. He was a disc jockey or something, and he had all this paraphernalia that I'd have to move out. There was a thing with the keyboard, things that play music and so forth. So
now, when you moved in 2019, and then throughout the years in year 2020, 2021, had you ever met someone named Nathan Wade?
I did not meet Nathan Wade until 2023, about a year ago, when a reporter by the name of Issakoff interviewed me. That was the first time I had met him.
You said that was in 2023?
2023, right.
And I know you said you hadn't met him until 2023, but when you were living at Ms. Willis's house in Fulton County, did you ever meet Mr. Wade in the year 2019?
Absolutely not.
How about in the year 2020?
Absolutely not.
Do you ever see Mr. Wade at Ms. Willis's Fulton County house in the year 2021?
Never.
And is it your testimony that the only time or the first time that you met Mr. Wade was in 2023?
Let me say something. Mr. Wade said that he remembers seeing me, and I do remember some banter. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and there's kind of this thing that goes on between fraternities. And Mr. Wade is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, and I do remember there was some kind of banter when my daughter was sworn in to be district attorney between me and a couple of guys, and he said he remembers me. I don't remember him.
And prior to that experience that you're talking about, as well as, I guess, your official meeting in 2023, had you ever even heard his name?
No, never.
I don't think I have any further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Merchant.
Yes, thank you.
fine. Come.
Thank you. On Monday, we heard you're in California.
Always asked me about where do I live. I guess I live right here, sitting in this seat right now. But yes, the answer is I have a place in Los Angeles.
Okay, you do. All right. So do you share time or split time between Los Angeles and Georgia?
Actually, I'm working on a documentary film, and I'm supposed to be being filmed not for this trial, but I'm supposed to be being filmed right now. It was planned, and we had to stop it because they asked me to come here. But the answer is I'm working on a documentary, and I'll be in California until I finish the documentary if we don't have another actor strike and we don't have another writer strike.
So do you own property in California?
No, I don't. I live with a friend of mine.
Live with a friend of yours. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Didn't
when
I
did you
tell
first
y'all?
move, let me qualify with the dates. Did you spend any time in 2019 in California?
No, and the reason I didn't is that when I first came here, the answer is no, I did not. What happened was COVID. Once COVID hit, I was just paralyzed. I couldn't go any place. I couldn't go anything. I mean, I'm a theater buff. I used to go to the theater at least once a week. But when COVID hit, I just couldn't. I couldn't go to the dentist, which I need to do. Or, it was just a thing. So I was just stuck. I was just stuck there.
I may be wrong, but I believe COVID hit in 2020. So I was asking about 2019. In 2019, did you spend any time in California?
Before COVID was even here in the United States, remember I lived in South Africa and I've traveled the world. I knew COVID was coming before. I knew COVID was around before. They may have announced it in 20, but in fact, I knew about it and I knew what was happening in 19.
Okay, so let's walk through 2019 then. You said you moved here in September. So
No, I didn't say that. I moved here probably prior to September. In September is when I got the driver's license. I probably moved in the springtime.
I'm sorry, you did. You said spring, summer. I see that in my notes. So spring, summer 2019 is when you moved here. So up until spring, summer 2019, where did you live?
I lived in Johannesburg. I lived in Washington, D.C., 2018. I had planned to retire for the rest of my life in South Africa. I had worked for Nelson Mandela and the Free Mandela and getting that. And someone I'd gone to law school, he had located there after Mandela was freed from prison and became president. I was going to live there for the rest of my life, but unfortunately, because of political reasons, I could not stay in South Africa, and I was forced, in a sense, to come back to the United States.
Okay. So let's just focus in on the period from, let's just start with October 2019. Okay, we'll call that the relevant period. October 2019 until the end of 2019. Were you in Georgia every single day of that year?
Absolutely.
So now let's move to 2020. Okay. And every single day, before I move on, every single day in 2019, you slept at your daughter's house, correct?
That's correct.
So let's start in 2020. All right. So 2020, the entire year, did you travel anywhere?
No.
You didn't travel at all that year?
No.
So,
And I didn't go to the movies, which upset me also.
So that entire year, 2020, you remained here in Georgia?
Right.
In 2021, did you do any traveling?
No.
So when did you move back, or when did you start this documentary film in Los Angeles?
What I had been doing to occupy time was I was writing my own memoir. As I delved into my family background, I just that got me to working on the documentary. So I want you to understand what was going on in my life. I pitched I have a movie script called Bad Blood. I have a movie script we're trying to sell. So I tried to sell that, and I just happened to mention something that happened during the civil rights movement. SNCC it's called the SNCC 5. The legendary Peter Fitzsimmons was interested. And so with Peter Fitzsimmons and Leah Smith, we're now doing the documentary. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but what I was asking was when you moved to Los Angeles, not what you moved there for.
you keep saying moved. I haven't moved to Los Angeles. I spent more time in California, in Oakland, if you really want to just be, because Peter is basically San Francisco based. So we're working on the documentary.
Okay.
I was in Los Angeles because I was going to the Pan-African Film Festival. And that's why we were there. And the way Hollywood works is, you know, when you make connections, and film festivals are a place to try to sell ideas and meet people and organize things.
You still own property in,
No, I don't.
you don't own property at 1467 Roxana Road Northwest?
That's where I used to live.
That's where you used to live. Did
Right.
you own that property?
Yes,
And you owned that property when you moved here in 2019?
yes.
And you owned it in 2020, correct?
Well, that where you talk about a very complicated issue. I left the property. There was a dispute between me, and I had gotten a reverse mortgage company. And there was a dispute between me and the and I just I walked away from it.
Okay. You walked away from it with almost $300,000.
What is the relevance of that?
We lived and registered. That's what they brought in. So that's
What's the money you got? That's not relevant.
it's the only thing I have of that you own that address. So I can move on now. Okay. When did you sell that property?
I didn't. The first mortgage company took it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So in 2019, when you got your driver's license here,
Yes.
the next day you registered to vote, correct?
I think it may have been the same day, but maybe it was the next day. I don't remember.
But you didn't own property here in Georgia that day?
No, I was living with my daughter.
You said that you met Mr. Wade, that you remember you met in 2023, right? That was the first time you
Correct.
remember? Okay. And I wasn't really clear. You said something about meeting him. Was it with Mr. Isikoff, or did Mr. Isikoff tell you?
No, I was being interviewed by Mr. Isikoff.
Okay.
And he walked in, and I met him. That was the first time. He walked into the office and
Where were you being interviewed?
at the district attorney's office.
And Mr. Wade walked into that interview?
Yes.
And so Ms. Willis had not told you about Mr. Wade prior to that.
Absolutely not.
So she didn't tell you anything about their relationship before you met him that day.
No.
But Mr. Wade remembers meeting you in 2020.
He said that at my daughter's, I do remember that we having some banner about fraternities, but other than that,
Oh, at your daughter swearing in. Okay.
right.
That's all I have. Just one moment.
That's it. That's all you got.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, counsel?
I'm fine. I'll try to ask you some specific questions if we could, okay?
And I'll give specific answers if I can.
Perfect. The driver's license address, I'm not going to publish.
Get it
That is
from her
Stacy's
daddy.
number 2. But is the address on that driver's license the home that you're referring to as your daughter's in South Fulton?
Absolutely.
It was unclear to me, maybe no one else, but it's unclear to me. When did you stop at your daughter's home in South Fulton?
Things got so bad and threats got so many, even against me, that the house became basically uninhabitable. I got tired of sleeping in one room one day and one that. I would say December of 2022, something like that.
December of 2022.
Right. That's about right. Yeah.
Let me change and go back for another date. You had indicated, and I didn't hear it. When was your daughter, Miss Willis, when was she sworn in as district attorney?
On January 1, 2021.
Okay. And did you indicate that there was an incident, and I know you've described it, was that incident on February the 3rd, 2021?
That's my best recollection.
The question then is, after February 3rd, 2021, how much longer did Ms. Willis stay at the house before she moved somewhere else?
Very short period of time, and I cannot be precise, but I would bet all the money I ever made, it wasn't more than a month and a half, if that long.
Okay, so we're talking about, best of your recollection, end of February into the beginning of March, give or take, of 2021, when Miss Willis would have moved to a different location.
Exactly.
Okay. And did Miss Willis return to the house, that is, the house that you were in, at any point in time that you can remember?
From time to time, she and her security might show up for her to pick something up or take something or something, but she always would come with her security.
Okay, my question was poorly worded, I apologize. Did she come back permanently to her house?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
So as far as you're aware, that once Miss Willis left the house, her house, South Fulton House, so the record's clear, in either late February or into March of 2021, best of your recollection, she's not returned to that home to live.
No, it became uninhabitable. I mean, it just, I mean, so I would walk around that house looking out of every window. I made a habit of having to walk around the whole house. I got lights so that if somebody would come at night in the back, so that those kinds of reflecting lights, I had those put up.
I don't mean to again cut you off.
Okay.
All I was interested in is whether she had ever returned.
No, the answer is no.
Okay. Now, when Miss Willis, when your daughter left the home, time period, end of February, beginning of March, give or take, 2021, do you know where she moved to?
No, and I didn't want to know. I intentionally did not want to know because I was not, if somebody stuck a gun to my head and I could tell them, I wasn't going to tell them anyway, or I'd have made up something, but I didn't want to know.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that if you didn't want to know, you never visited her at the place that she moved to?
Oh, I never did.
Never did.
Never did.
Okay. Do you know how long she stayed at the first place that she went to after she left her house before she moved to a second place?
What I know, and this is hearsay, counsel, is that my daughter has had to move something like 4 times.
But do you know any potential?
No, I don't know any place. I was taken one time for Christmas Day. I've only seen my daughter, and this is very hard for me to say, but during the period my daughter left, I've only seen my daughter 13 times because I can't, and we've never seen each other more than maybe 3 hours because of, the nightmare threats against her and me.
And I understand that, and from the perspective of being a father myself, I understand what that means. So I'm going to move away from that. I was just trying to get an idea of date-wise, okay? So let me try to get one more date. In 2023, when you were being interviewed by one of the gentlemen that wrote the book at the DA's office, and Mr. Wade came in, can you give us, other than 2023, what the date would be?
I'm sorry, I can't counsel.
How about spring, summer, any idea?
I would guess spring or summer, but I can't.
Okay.
I don't. I'm sorry.
And you've already indicated, at least to your recollection, that was the first time that you'd met Mr. Wade.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you about that. I want to go to Miss Willis's boyfriend that you referenced. Okay, you met Miss Willis's boyfriend, as you've characterized it, when you came here in 2019.
Correct.
And you met him on one occasion, several occasions?
Oh, no, I saw him often.
Oh, so you mean there was no secret that she was dating this man?
Not from me.
Not from you.
And he was a disc jockey of some kind. I think he had a government job during the day. I don't know what it was, but apparently he would do weddings and so forth and so on. He was a disc jockey, play music. So he had all his stuff was always in the way, and I was always having to try to push it aside. And anyway.
But Ms. Willis, your daughter didn't keep him from you, correct?
No,
No, I mean, there was no doubt
I mean, we lived in, my daughter and I lived in the same house. I mean, he came and went,
Right. Now, when did you learn that your daughter had a romantic personal relationship with Mr. Wade?
About 7 weeks ago, when as a matter of fact, I just found out when other folks found out. Okay.
That is, your daughter, as I understand it, never told you one time in the year of 2022 that she was dating Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
And until recently, you didn't know from anyone, including your daughter, that she dated Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
That is, whatever the relationship is between father and daughter, she kept that a secret from you, correct?
Correct.
That's all I need to know.
Mr. Stockton.
No.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Correct.
Good morning, Council.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Oh, no, no. See, maybe, excuse me, and Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a Black thing, okay? I was trained, and most Black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash. And I trained, you always keep some cash, because I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin, for example, I took a fellowship at Harvard when my daughter was just, if I might, Your Honor, when I was just, she was just, maybe 3 years old. And I remember going to a Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a credit card and I had a lot of what they call traveler's checks. I don't even know if they still have traveler's checks, but traveler's checks. And there was a sign said, with the credit card, for whatever reasons, the man would not take my American Express credit card. So I pulled out my Visa card, and he wouldn't take my Visa card. So then I pulled out my traveler's checks. He said, we don't take checks. Now these were traveler's checks. This was money. I had a $10 bill. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And he said, the bill for my wife at the time, Fani's mother, Fani, and myself was like $9.95. And I had a $10 bill. That was all that. I always remember that. But even before that, I've always kept cash, and I've told my daughter, you keep 6 months worth of cash always. For example, I had 3 safes in my house. I put some of my clients' stuff there too, things I didn't want other lawyers to be, because you're always in a firm, and I knew that there were special conditions. So some of my clients' things I would bring home, put them in the safe. But I've always kept safes. And as a matter of fact, I gave my daughter her first cash box and told her always keep some cash.
So is that a yes?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's all I got, Judge.
That's all you got, huh?
Mr. Durham.
No questions.
Mr.
Yeah,
McDougal.
they're not.
Thank you. Mr. Rice.
No question, Your Honor.
Mr. Gillen.
It's still morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Counsel. How are you?
Just fine. Just a few questions following up. When you were talking about when you learned about Mr. Wade and your daughter, correct?
Correct.
Now, did your daughter tell you in around October of 2022 that she had gone on a Caribbean cruise with Mr. Wade to the Bahamas?
The answer is I knew that my daughter had gone, but I did not know who she went with or what the circumstances were. So I knew that she had gone out of town, but I didn't know with whom.
I see. And did she tell you in November of 2022 that she had gone to Aruba and stayed at the Hyatt Regency Resort there in Aruba for 3 days with Mr. Wade. Did she tell you that?
The answer was, again, I knew she went out of town. I didn't even know where she went. I knew she was going out of town. She told me she was going out of town. I think she might have said she was going out of the country or something. She'd be gone. But other than that, that was all.
Okay. And did she tell you in March of 2023 that she was going to Belize for several days with Mr. Wade?
The same answer, that I knew she would tell me she was going out of town, and she may or may not have told me where she was going, but she'd be gone for a couple of days.
Okay. Now in 2023, you were in many days you would be out in California, correct?
Some days I'd be in California, correct.
Okay. Well, did she tell you in May of 2023 that she was traveling to Napa Valley with Mr. Wade, so maybe y'all could see each other when she visited California with Mr. Wade?
The answer is no.
And so the first time that you ever met Mr. Wade or learned about Mr. Wade, to your recollection, was in 2023?
That's correct.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kucherov. On Zoom.
Yes, Ron, just a couple quick questions. Good morning, sir. I know I can't see you.
I can't see you either,
We
but
can take a moment.
good morning, Counsel.
We can take a moment. Let's just pause, see if we can change the screens to show Mr. Kucherov. Sorry. We need.
Your Honor, I'm on a phone, so it's kind of difficult.
Can you turn your screen on though?
I'm trying to.
I agree. We know our own community. I
Does that
think
work?
that's why they say it's a Black thing, but it is
Just
a
hold
generational.
one more moment. All right, there we go. You can proceed,
Older
Mr.
people
Kucherov.
don't trust banks.
Sir, you seem to know about the issue of cash in this transaction. You said it was a Black thing. How did you know that the cash was going to be an issue in this testimony?
Because I was asked for it and I was prepped by the lawyers and they asked me about it. What else?
And did you speak with Mr. Wade about your testimony?
No.
Did you speak with your daughter about your testimony?
She may have been present when the lawyers were. I really don't remember.
If Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
What do you, maybe I'm not understanding your question, Counsel. So maybe you want to restate. What is it that you're asking me?
Yeah, if it wasn't clear, I can re-ask the question. I'll rephrase
Yeah,
it.
right, yeah.
Mr. Wade, if Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
I did not know that they were
It's
dating.
the same way.
And when were you talking about the cash? I didn't know that. I don't know what you're asking me. What I told my child from the time she was a child is always have some money. Always have some money. If you go on a date so that people don't try to stick you and you want to leave whoever, always keep some cash, okay?
Mr. Floyd, you answered the question that the attorneys prepped you for that. So that's all I wanted to know.
Anything else, Mr. Kucherov?
That's it, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cromwell.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Abadi?
Your Honor. Mr. Floyd, now it wasn't common for your daughter to confide in you about her romantic life at all.
No, and I haven't confided in her about mine before when I had one, okay?
And you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend, the disc
Hey,
jockey.
Debs.
An objection?
I think that might have just been still off mute.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Now, you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend, the disc jockey, had you not been living with her, correct?
That's correct.
I'll allow overruled.
I have nothing further.
Did he answer the question?
He said that's correct.
All right, by show of hands, any redirect on those points only. Ms. Merchant.
I just want to know when you were prepped by the lawyers, when this prep session was.
I just got off the plane on, what was it, Tuesday night? I think I was probably drooling at the mouth. I was so tired. So it must have been, I got in Wednesday. It must have been Wednesday.
Okay. And did you talk about any of the testimony from yesterday or watch any news reports or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. You can't cut the TV on without seeing this. The first thing, and I listen to conservative radio a lot, and, you know, last night for 5 hours, all they talked about was this case.
So you were aware of what the testimony your daughter gave yesterday was?
Yeah, unless you don't cut the radio on, unless you don't cut the television on, unless you don't read the AJC or any other, the New York Times or whatever, which I do every day, of course.
So is it fair to say nobody instructed you that you were under the rule of sequestration?
Right, and I'm not under subpoena either.
All right, anything else? Seeing and hearing none, thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. It's a pleasure to appear in front of you, Your Honor.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cross, let me check in. Was the state planning to call additional witnesses?
Not at this time, Your Honor. We're again trying to accommodate if there's a
Sure.
lapse in schedule to be able to this afternoon. But right now, that was our last witness.
Okay, so even if Mr. Bradley testifies to some extent, it's still the potential that the state has no further witnesses?
I anticipate at least one more will be available this afternoon, but that would be it.
Okay, so there are potentially more state's witnesses. All right.
Judge, before we move on, I moved to strike the last witness's testimony.
All right, so I think the rule is invoked and the instruction was for the parties to tell all witnesses subpoenaed or expected to appear about the rule. I don't think the remedy is necessarily striking. I think it can go also to this credibility as well. So to that extent, unless Ms. Cross, you want something else to be heard on that, point is made. All right. Do we have an update for Mr. Bradley?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, he should be here at 12:20, 12:25.
Okay, then what I think we should do is have these preliminary conversations about privilege, see if we can make any headway, and then take our afternoon break.
Okay, so I think that having her father come on, we get a clearer picture of why Madam DA is the way she is. And I've heard some of her friends say that. So it does make a lot of sense. And for those of you that were talking about, you know, he said in the Black community, he's had experiences in other countries and around the world that may have influenced it. But there was something called the Depression. You had market crashes. You had many things back then where people lost money. And because of that, they do not trust banks. They do not trust anything. And that's why you guys seen Soul Food. When they went through all of that, and at the end, there was a stash of money up in the mattress. There's a whole bunch of money stashed in the mattress. That's what older people do because they don't trust that their money is going to be there if they put it there. Plus, again, so I think that's the general reasoning why for those outside of the Black community. Then you have him who was in a certain time of which he's experienced racism as well to a degree that we may not have. And so that's why he does what he does. So I definitely, then his spiciness, we know where she got it from. Then she's the only child. They probably were tight, thicker than thief, and a lot of her personality is from him. We've seen his credentials, very, very well traveled, great legal mind, it looks like. And so he got it honest. Now, he's a very, very honest person. Because when you are a witness and you are supposed to be sequestered, that means you are not supposed to listen to any testimony. That's why Miss Merchant was trying to strike his testimony because she knows the credibility of this man's testimony. He told stories. He did all of that. Now, it's not uncommon for attorneys to prep you. They do prep you and let you know what's going on. But and usually you prep them, and I don't give clients, you just let them know what to expect. So you let them know what to expect based on your experience as an attorney. You let them know, hey, they're probably going to say this, and I want you to be prepared because it's going to piss you off when it comes out of their mouth, and I don't want you to come out of character. So yes, you prep witnesses. You don't give them answers. And I think that should have been something that was said Like, yeah, they prepped me. They didn't tell me what to say. They just, prepped me on whatever. Okay. When you're sequestered, he was not supposed to look at any testimony or anything. So she did catch that, have to give it to her. Now, and like the judge said, he's not going to strike the entire testimony. He's just it's going to weigh as to his credibility when he makes his decision. But this is BC. This is the attorney that was Ernest Williams, the ex-husband of not ex-husband, the estranged husband, or maybe never was husband. We don't know what Ernest Williams is, to Shirley Strawberry, the co-host of the Steve Harvey Morning Show. His client is someone that used to be the attorney, or is the attorney, not sure if he's still on the case, for Nathan Wade. And he's trying his best not to testify, saying it's attorney-client privilege. This is his attorney arguing the privilege situation that we started out at the beginning of this almost 3 hours ago.
6. As I understood it, I was waiting to hear from you whether we are now beyond that. And then if we're in the land of attorney-client privilege and only attorney-client privilege, so Rule 505, then I think Mr. Sadal has some arguments on crime fraud. And I think there's also just the general arguments of, does it exist? Were certain statements in furtherance? Does Mr. Bradley have any knowledge independent of those?
Certainly.
Right.
And in order to keep the court abreast, yes, we are still traveling under, there should be a privilege afforded to Mr. Wade under 1.6. And we are aware of how they will try to convince the court that should be overcome. So hopefully I can read this case in less than 5 minutes.
All right, that's fine. Anything, I guess, as he reads that, let's do this. Assuming we do get beyond 1.6, if you can work with me here, anything we want to add to that?
I'm afraid I would have to hear what the arguments were that got us past 1.6.
Okay.
Judge, I'm not here to insinuate to the court that we would do something else. I don't know.
But there was a line of questioning that Ms. Merchant decided to write out and share with the parties. Were there any initial thoughts, comments, reactions to that? Again, just trying to make sure we make the best use of Mr. Bradley's time once he arrives.
Your Honor, I just want to say that that might just reiterate that my client is not a attorney-client privilege. The questions that we reviewed this morning, Mr. Bradley is not able to testify about anything relating to Wade's marriage or dating history after December 2018. That's going to be the operative date. Nor does any of the questions does Mr. Bradley cite to any external knowledge or sources. Anything he will say would be derived entirely from privileged communications with our client. So we just want to renew our objection.
Okay, so certainly the assertion of the privilege is confirmed and for the record. And I think, again, this is where we got held up yesterday, is that I know you're asserting that certain answers to these questions would be covered by privilege. I think there's still some boxes we would need to check before we can confirm that. And we'd have to check those boxes with Mr. Bradley before we can get there. Okay, if there's nothing else, then let's break until 1 o'clock. All right, thank you all.
So the morning session is over. They are basically waiting on Mr. Bradley, who again was the attorney of Nathan. I think they shared space or were partners as well at one point. And he had a doctor's appointment that he said, I ain't about to move for this hearing. Clearly, because he's been there all morning. At first it was going to be here. He was going to be here at 10. Then it was 10:30. Then it was 2 hours from now. Then it was, can I come on Zoom? So clearly he really doesn't want to be there. It's stressing him out. He probably got to re-up his high blood pressure medication because people were calling him allegedly trying to get him not to testify or saying he shouldn't be testifying because it's an attorney-client privilege. So that's what they're going through now. For those of you that don't know, Bradley allegedly is supposed to confirm this relationship that occurred between Wade and Madam DA. So, but that's that. But I think I do like Madam DA's dad. I do. Like, I think he came across very genuine. We see a lot. I think it showed a lot. I think it was a good idea. It was a good idea for them to call him. Now, I do believe that he should have known he should have been sequestered and he shouldn't be watching anything that has to do with this case. He retorted that he wasn't subpoenaed, so he wasn't under a subpoena. He just came. But anybody testifying, if there's a sequestration order, that means nobody can hear anybody's testimony. So, for instance, when Nathan Wade was testifying, Madam DA could not be in the courtroom, nor could she be listening to it online. Of course, we don't really know if somebody seen it online or didn't see it online because it was streaming. But you for sure shouldn't tell anybody that you were watching it if you were. And her dad did, which to me makes it seem like he's very credible because he's a lawyer and he knows exactly what sequestration means. The average person may not know. But he said, "Oh, yes, I was watching TV and she was on there." I listen to conservative radio. That's all they're talking about is my baby girl, you know? So I think that actually goes to that he is a credible person and he ain't about to lie to kick it. He also said the guy's name was Deuce. But that sounds so ghetto. He didn't even try to make up a name. He even asked her, "What is this guy's name that she's dating?" He's some DJ jockey guy. And he was kind of laughing like this was like it was almost like, yeah, that was a joke. She was kicking it with him. He was up DJ. He had all this DJ equipment and this paraphernalia. He was like laughing at the whole relationship. So, but that's who she was kicking it with. You know, that's what he said. And the only reason why he knew about this is because they were at the house together and they lived together. But that's not a general conversation they have with people. I think it was relevant that he talked about the cash, obviously, because apparently that came up yesterday when Madam DA said the reason why she carries cash like she does and reimburses is because that's what her dad told her. Take care of yourself. You don't want somebody having, and there are men, especially these days, who have expectations. They buy you a meal, they expect something in return. And so I've taught my daughters that too. Like you have to make sure you have your own money just in case you don't like what's going on, especially people on these dating apps and stuff. You're like, listen, I want to be able to catch an Uber. I want to be able to catch a taxi cab. I want you to be able to catch a bus if I have to. So you do have cash and you want to make sure you pay for stuff dealing, especially newer people that you meet, because you don't know what their expectations are. There are people that get mad. You guys see that stuff on TikTok. They take you to Olive Garden or something and they think that you owe them your body. I mean, that's just the generation that they're in. They spend $1. They want something from it. Why? Because a lot of women have made the bar so low, you don't even have to give them nothing, no way. So they don't feel like anybody with standards they have to give anything to. So I can feel that. And I think nobody would have understood that unless her dad came on that stand. So that was a good, move. Again, the sequestration part, I think that was the oops. That was definitely a oops. You said a DJ and work. Listen, unless he was on the radio, I guess. Tracy said, "I don't want you to see my credit card number." That part too. I had a situation with someone where somebody they went out with took a picture of their ID, took a picture of their credit cards and all that, and tried to take their ID. Dudes out here grimy. I mean, that's what it is. Until you really get to know them, there are people out here like Fani, Madam DA said yesterday. She said, "I don't think a man is my plan." She was raised where she takes care of herself. And there are some men, though, that do look at women as their plan. So I think she may be more offended that people think she got with this dude and she trying to get money from him and benefit. I think she's more offended of that. And that's what it sounds like to me, listening to her father, because it's the total opposite of how she was raised. So it's very interesting. Cherie said, "My daughter had problems on prom night and came home early." Yes. So yeah. So anyway, guys, that's that. We've been on for 3 hours. Thank you guys for rocking with me. I have a few things that I have to do. I got to get to work, even though I'm out of town. So I don't know if I'll be back for Bradley, but listen out for the notification and I'll let you know. Now, there was information, like I said, that Dennis, he made it on the thumbnail like he was streaming it, but he did not stream the bond hearing. I believe he said he was going to stream the bond hearing and then gave some type of update on Sylvia. So that's pretty much what that stream was about that everybody kept putting in the chat, where I said, stop putting that in the chat that he's streaming, because he ain't streaming nothing right now. But we would have known that if Mr. Byron would have, and I'm going to call him too, had a conversation with me. We were on the phone instead of rushing, trying to get off because he didn't want to tell me what was going on. But you know, that's YouTube. That's YouTube. I'll let him know how I feel. You know, I don't have no problem with that. You guys have it was fun. It was fun. I'm glad for all of you guys that asked me, said, girl, you better get on here and stream this hearing. I appreciate you guys. So I want you guys to make sure that you have a wonderful day. I don't know if I'm even going to keep this up very long, because it started out just ghetto in the beginning. I was just playing a little hearing, trying to figure out what was going on. And it's just no organization to this video. So I don't know if it's going to stay up too long, but thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Hit the like button on your way out, just in case I, keep it up and it actually matters. But I'll talk to you guys next time. I need to do a regular live. So I'll probably do a regular live over here tomorrow evening after I get done doing everything that I have to do. So either tomorrow or Sunday, I'll do a more formal live. But thank you guys for supporting.